Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Somebody, anybody, really should tell Adam. See you at the garage.
We're getting down to the nitty-gritty in the major series. That's the final 3 rounds. But to begin with, we got to go bowling. We strike it hard in the Finger Lakes region of New York for the Gold Bowling at the Glen. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else. This is round number 10 out of 12 for this particular event. And reporting tonight here, I'm Len Kinchlow. We've got Dan Yeaman on the cameras doing all the button pushing and all of the other stuff. Normally Reese Gardner's around here to do the intro, but here we are. In the meantime, we'll wait for him to catch up. We'll keep on going.
Did we will, Lynn? Thank you very much for taking care of the introduction. I'll jump in too, so you don't have to feel, I guess, you have to do everything to start things off. How about that, I think? But yes, getting to the crunch time of the season. I think that we're already only a couple of races away from it all wrapping up. In fact, there are just 2 more races left in the Major Series for 2025, with the exception of the Exhibition Cup to come after it all later on. Drivers are currently in their pre-race briefing with the race control team, which I also suspect. Do you have any participation in that briefing, Lynn, or are you going to be focused on what we've got here in terms of the broadcast tonight?
You are stuck with me for the entirety of the event tonight. The briefing has just wrapped up, and that means cars have been released back onto the racing surface. Tonight's event is a little bit on the different side. But first, we got to take a look at the googly Earth, because who doesn't love our little round green and blue ball? Taking a look, zooming in slowly but surely, we are in the state of New York in the United States. And you see all the little Finger Lakes right there. Nestled in between a couple of them, here's the track for tonight. Yes, it is a little bit late in the year for this particular event, but we're going to be taking a look at the cup layout. This is the classic, original design. Well, as close as we can get to it here in the iRacing Sim. Very similar to how this track was originally developed for Formula 1 Grand Prix racing, but we take the shorter route. And we did have a recent rescan of this particular track, so there's a lot of little intricacies to be had with this one. You see the especially in the 90 turn number 1, and at the exit of the outer loop, and turn number 6, there's a little bit of runoff. Previously, this runoff would be constituting 1x for iRacing's timing and control purposes, but for this particular rescan, no more. You can go all over the place as long as it's paved surface.
This is a very important point to note there. I mean, there is something on that we'll have to discuss here very shortly, when it comes to the way that the racing circuit is going to be treated here at Watkins Glen tonight, with the fact that we are racing here in, indeed, NASCAR Cup Next Gen. So very much, in a way, is replicating what would be normally seen at this circuit. And 90 laps, though, that is what is on the cards. And that, therefore, means it's going to be, I reckon, a reasonably long afternoon. We're looking at, well, still lapping only just over a minute long, 70 seconds, not even, for our top runners in practice. So extrapolate that out, we're somewhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours for the race, if it goes according to plan here, Lynn. Although I do note that it does say that cautions were enabled, according to the race information on the majorsseries.com website. So whether that means that race control will throw a caution if we get a big enough wreck, or if it is a case of somehow having a way to trigger the iRacing full course caution might be of note there. But yeah, high lap count, short lap time, decent speed on the straights. Hopefully we're all wrapped up within about 2 or so hours.
Yeah, and on that, cautions being enabled, I have it on good authority, i.e. I'm the one having to run the silly little thing. It will be dependent upon a secret number that has been input into a program that if too many incidents happen throughout the race, it will throw the caution automatically. And when I say it's a secret, I mean it's literally a secret. I have very carefully construed this number through several different sources. It's a fairly high number, but we'll have to see. Also, additionally, if on starts and restarts there is a big collision, you may notice if you look around the place, a lot of these corners are very narrow where the walls come too close together. If the track gets completely blocked, there are live stewards, and they do have the discretion to throw the caution automatically at that point if they so choose.
Okay, so there we are. Thank you very much for that insight there. So a couple of possible ways the caution will be triggered today then, folks. So keep that one in the back of your mind. What it does mean is that the fact that it's, well, can be done on 2 pit stops today when it comes to fuel, that may get thrown completely out the window depending on the way cautions progress. Now, from what I can also tell, there's no tyre set limitation, so if we do get a lot of cautions, we can see drivers freely jumping into the pit lane. That other one there, no incident point penalties have been set up for tonight's race, but there's a bit of a sort of a conditional on that one. As you were saying, rescans, updates, you've got a lot of room to play with here, especially on this cup layout configuration at Watkins Glen. But Race Control had some points to make about that in the briefing that's just been held.
Yep. With the new rescan, as previously mentioned on the Googly Earth segment, the iRacing is not tracking off tracks in turns 1, 5, and 6. You can go run off into that runoff area if you so choose. However, we are going to go with the strict implementation as in the iRacing sporting code, which is if you're off the racing surface, away from the marked course, which will be indicated by white lines around the exterior of the track, you are considered off track, and it is your responsibility to rejoin the racing surface safely, which means if you barge in back onto the track and you collide with somebody on the racing surface, you will most likely be looked at sternly by the race control, and they will most likely issue you the penalty.
Yep, so keep an eye out for that one, folks. That will be important to sort of maintain, manage, although with the fact that they'll be allowed out there, we've got 15 minutes of qualifying still to go as well today. Pre-qualifying wasn't actually a part of this event for the international region, so we're yet to see exactly how the drivers tackle maximizing single lap pace outside of what's been going on in practice too. So green flag isn't going to be for another about 20 or so, just over 15 minutes, so you have to bear with us a little bit longer, but we'll get to that qualifying coverage in just a moment. The one last thing we can talk pre-race, Lynn, is championship standings, because we have of course, multiple driver divisions here in the Major Series. So what it does mean is that we've got things like also the overall scores, but I have just broken it down into divisions. So starting off, we've got our top drivers here, the Pro Division, who make up the majority of the field here in the international region today.
Yep, and season pass holders are, well, actually everybody on this championship standings are season pass holders, and it is 250 points to win this race today with a 25-point gap down to second. So you see right here, Ewan Baker and James Walker leading 1 and 2 with a little over 100-point margin. So that just kind of gives you the indication of how many positions they'll need to gain to be able to get away or gain points. Finishing out the rest of this top 10, we got Robert Northway for Kiwi Sim Racing. He is the defending champion of the international region, so he gets to wear number 1, followed closely behind by Justin Morton, Ben Doty, Garrett Batten, Thomas Hins. I do not see signed in at the moment, so he may be taking a drop week this week.
He's
Hayden Kirk. Oh, he is? Okay. Oops, my bad.
That's all right.
One of those there's a never mind. Hayden Kirk is in 8th position on the points. Ryan Steele is 9th, and Robbie Bradbury rounds out the top 10 here for Fusion Gold International with 1,223 points.
And
then I believe
I've got them all. I've got them all in.
Oh, you got them all?
We're gonna go through them.
Okay, so yep. Here we are. Then in the Sports Silver division, this is these are half of our sportsman field. In the middle of the field, we got Robert DeLoach leading this division with 1,261 points. Kind of gives you an indication of where these points spread out. Jason Lottridge, I don't believe is here. But then we have Adam Johnson, Julian Mookie, Stuart Elder. Michael Hogg is currently in 6th place, hanging in there with the Baby Not a Cold Racing. Brian Scribner, Christy Tito, Craig Tilson, and Clint Day rounding out the 10 drivers currently in on this page of the Sports Silver division. And you say you have everything. There should be another page for Sports Bronze.
You bet.
And there's only 5 drivers, which makes things rather simple for us to keep track of. We got Roger Sang leading this field with a very close battle with Matt Chalker. Phil Otto is P3 in this division. Gavin Cox for Middle Finger Racing is 4th, and John Ebersol for Panaspec Motorsports. Haven't seen him in a while. He only has 160 points, but he's in this division. He's paid for the season pass. He gets to be on the board.
He sure does. And I got one more on top of that. So that's obviously our divisions, but then there's the additional classification of whether you're a legend or not here at the Major Series. And I do have that table, at least going off overall results. I didn't break this one down by division. I thought that might be going a little far, but I've got this one too.
Yep, and these are drivers that are, shall we say, seasoned enough to be, I believe, at least 50 years of age or older. So they have something to challenge for in this particular division. And this is also led by Robert DeLoach, Jake Fox, Dan Stevens, Ray Partridge. A couple of rounds ago, he missed a round, I believe, so he drops from the triple Ironman down to the double Ironman. Wayne Hutchinson is the last man standing as the triple Ironman, and we'll explain that in a little bit. Gavin Barber, Stuart Elder, Roger Shank, Brian Scribner, and Phil Otto rounding out the top 10 in the Legends division.
And with that, practice has just ticked over and finished in the session, folks. So I think it is high time we head towards the circuit, and we can now bring you coverage from qualifying as the drivers start to roll out of the pit lane. It looks like, from what I can tell, yes, lone qualifying session here, so drivers will be going out on their own, one at a time, but nevertheless, it's a chance to now pick them up here and see who can put down the fastest lap at the Glen when it counts to set the grid.
And for this particular session, you have 15 minutes to spend up to 4 laps, however you would like to spend them. So these guys are rolling out on their outlaps currently, and so they can do whatever they want. They can run 1 lap, tow to the pits, and then that will throw away a lap, and then run the final 2, or they could run all 4 back to back to back if they so choose. So take a look at the 61 machine of Garrett Batten. coming around. And this is the exit of turn 5. You can see he's able to go completely off the track. Switch over to Ewan Baker. Here's a little tricky section right here after turn 6. You see that curb right there, just in the background? That profile has changed since the last scan, and that will actually trip a few cars up if you run over it. It's rather hazardous as we go on board with the Baker machine.
You are one of the fastest drivers in practice, so I thought this might be a good look to see here that updated restrictions, even though it's qualifying, as you said, Lynn, out to the fence at turn 1. So it's going to be fascinating to watch how drivers choose to adjust as we watch up the S's here. These cars obviously big, cumbersome, having to really lean on them here to get it up the hill, and watch for the top speed into the inner loop here. We, of course, taking that layout, and also a very generous and mostly flat curb there now these days as well.
Yeah, it's not like the ye old days of the 2003 NASCAR racing simulator, where those curves were massively high, and you see him get all the way out on the exit at turn number 5. We'll see how far he goes down here into turn number 6, 150 miles an hour into that braking zone. And you see, very conservative. You can get over half of that curb without issue, but if you go further, oh boy, is that thing a handful to catch. First lap comes in for Ewan Baker at a 1:08.645. That is going to be the Mark II chase for the rest of this field. Time starting to circle in for the rest of the field. And give a tip to Dallas Pataska, ringing in from the Americas region. He goes straight to the top. The Majors Esports eNASCAR team leader right there. 1:08.636. Absolutely flying on that first lap.
Also note there on the timing tower, we were talking about all the divisions as part of pre-race discussion there in Championship. I have been able to get them configured in the timing tower, the driver information. So if you see a gold number, that is a driver who is a pro division driver. Silver numbers, such as in the likes of Chris Tito, they're currently in 8th place, or bumped down to 9th now. That is a sport silver driver. Roger Shank there is a sport bronze driver. And if they've got that green stripe next to their name, either on the tower or the green stripe at the bottom of the screen, that's the season pass holder who's here for points today. Is Baker going to improve his time? Let's watch for Pataski here in a second to see, can he match? No, he bails out.
Okay, so he didn't like something on that particular lap, so he is elected to tow straight to the pits. And what that allows him to do, that allows him to save those last 2 laps for him. So Ewan Baker picks up just a couple of hundredths to a 1:08.631, just 5 1,000ths quicker Dallas Pataska. That's going to be important later on because you want to be starting right at the tippy top of the pole for this run.
Yeah, that will be important to probably keep an eye out for here. Dylan Jordan's just improved and gone P6 in the next of our Kiwi sim racing entries. Yes, indeed. What drives like Dan Stevens? Actually interesting here. Looks like lap 2 invalid or reset straight back to the pit lane, perhaps, there for the middle finger racing number 3, who also sits P3 at the stage. Half a second off Baker and Pataska, who are apparently currently in a race known as, Jake Fox has come unstuck in qualifying and already towed back to the pits there with that one.
Yeah, since you're qualifying by yourself, it's no big deal if you have to tow back to the pits. I mean, you're not having to worry about interrupting somebody else's run. So he is obviously, he's run into something. We don't know what, but it was enough to require repairs. So it's like, yeah, let's just go get a fresh car.
Stevens winding up for a lap. Let's see. Let's ride this one around here with the middle finger number 3 for a bit and see what it looks like with this Chevy Camaro here.
Yep, exiting off turn number 1 right there. Up the hill to the S's. Let's take a look inside the helmet and take a look at he scraped the wall. That's going to invalidate this entire lap. Thankfully, he caught it, so the crew, the virtual crew back at the garage is thankful they're not going to have to go fix the car, but that will invalidate the lap. He's going to have to go back and try again if he's got a lap left.
Quite a few drivers, I think, coming unstuck there up the S's. Cut here to Hayden Kirk, who that's a little tight. I think he's a coming on his way into the pit lane. Yep. No, not on this lap. Well, the 371, Adam Johnson. No time yet. But he will put one on the board.
And that time will put him in the back of the field. He was having discussions in the practice session as Dallas Pataska suddenly pops another big number, 108.360. He's finding time all over the place around here. Going back to Adam Johnson real quick, he was having discussions of having issues with the setup in practice, so he's probably just going to be taking his time with this race. He wants to try to get to at least lap 45 because points are paid out for making it to the halfway distance, but we'll see. As we look at this 17 machine right here, just sailing it through the bus stop chicane, really, really smooth, taking all of this curb on the exit, but you got to be careful because the grass cuts up real quick. Okay, he makes it back in time.
Into turn 6 here, and despite the permission to use the track out there, quite gentle, slows it up, really pulls it back in there. And then using all the exit, of course, onto the front stretch here as we now build the speed up to the line. Not an improvement on this lap, I don't think. Yeah, 4.81, about a tenth off what Pataska has done. And I believe, yep, that is all the laps complete for Dallas Pataska. We will not see any more of him or Ewan Baker in this qualifying session, but most drivers now have done their laps. Only a handful left to get them in.
Still looking at the Stevens machine right here. I believe this is his last available lap as Morton bumps him off for P3 right there at a 108.957. Dipping to be the third car into the 108s. Ken Stevens joined him in that illustrious group coming off the final corner right here. Turn number 7 counting for iRacing purposes. And the result is, yes, he does. 108.958. Does not pick up his position. But look at how close that margin is. That's less than a thousandth of a second. Holy guacamole, this is tight.
How's
Take a
that
look at
there?
That. You can't get any closer than that short of an actual tie. I'm pretty sure of it. Meanwhile, take a look. Looks like Morton actually has a lap left to go as he's driving around.
No, he has not. Unfortunately, yeah, Justin Morton is laps complete. In fact, the only couple drivers left, handful of drivers here who come out a little later in the session, it looks like.
Yes, it is dynamic sky and dynamic track, so obviously these drivers are kind of gambling on waiting till later in the session to be able to complete their lap, hoping to get a little bit of a better track evolution perhaps. Meanwhile, we take a look at the one machine of Robert Northway. Has just recently put a lap in, 109.522. So take a look at these weather conditions right now in the Imperial system. 78-degree air temperature translates roughly to an 88-degree Fahrenheit track temp with a little partly cloudy conditions. So the sun will be peeking in and out. That'll bring in heat and take away as it goes around, with a 51% relative humidity and a wind out of the southeast, 5 miles an hour. Fairly decent day for afternoon or evening or morning of motorsports. This is a worldwide sim racing event. We have drivers from all regions. Pretty much, we've got Australians, we've got Kiwis, we've got Americans, we've got Canadians. Lots of people from all over the place here tonight.
Strong ANZ representation here, of course, as Northway finds some more time. Still in the 109s though. He's got 2 more laps and he will get around in time to do it. So he's going to be one of our latest drivers to go out here with laps to spare. Everyone else is just doing some those who are still going out. Lottridge has gone no faster than but he hasn't even done a valid time, and he's not out on track currently. So I think it is Robert Northway is all we've got left for driver who's got laps who will be used up here. Let's see what he can do.
Yep. when you complete your laps, you are allowed to keep running around if you so choose. It doesn't help you improve your time, but you can get a little practice, and it looks like Northway is going to pull off. Maybe feels like he's cooked the tires a little too much.
Yeah, I think he felt like, the run through the S's at the very least wasn't too great. Does have enough time to do at least one more flying lap, although he wouldn't get 2 laps in. And off that sign there, he's back in the pit lane. Morton's still out circulating, but laps are well over and done. So this is just maybe some final bonus race run feeling, because he's now done 6 or 7 laps. And literally, we cut to him and he pulls it up at the line. Ray Partridge doing the same by the looks of things, getting an extra couple of bonus laps in just to feel the car out. Beyond a qualifying run. Beyond that, that's about it. Northway has, though, is entering the circuit once more. So we can pick up Northway, I think, here, right in the dying seconds.
Yep, he's got 3 minutes, so he has time to do this full run. So we'll have to see how easy he takes it on this out lap, or does he push very aggressively to get heat in the tires, try to salvage something out of this run.
Well, he's currently on this will count as his 3rd lap in the run out of 4. So he's got this lap to sort of prep the car and himself, and then it's going to be one single dash with which to try and improve on the 109.3. So that is what he's working with here. Folks, you can see here, if he gets 0.02 of a second, he jumps Garen Batten. He can find just over, 0.07 of a second. He'll get ahead of Thomas Hinz. He'd then need to find several tenths to go ahead and challenge Morton and Stevens. So, let's see what can your defending international region champion, after its the international region's departure from the major series last year, so dating back to 2023, that number 1 on the car.
Hard on the brakes into turn number 1 right here. Gets a clean apex right there. Doesn't hit the inside of it. And he runs just wide enough outside to be able to get all of the run up the S's right here. This is where people have been tripped up right here. These walls close in. It gets very narrow. Oh, right at the wall right there. But I don't think he hit it. Now down the backstretch for the final time on his qualifying run. Waits until about the 400-meter board right there. Able to get through the bus stop just right there. Not taking too much curb. Around the carousel, which has tripped up so many drivers in the past before. And takes a very shallow exit off of the carousel right there. Doesn't use up as much of the real estate as he needs to. One final big braking zone right here. Turn number 6. Gets a lot of the inside curb. Keeps it steady. Oh, you see it wiggle ever so slightly coming off of that outer curb. Through turn number 7. This is a pretty decent lap, but what's it going to be on the board? Bumps up to a 109.391, does not improve. His previous best was a 374, and that's probably going to do it for cars qualifying. Just 30 seconds left, and I don't see anybody else out on track. Nope, that will do it for qualifying, I believe. That will put Dallas Pataska on pole with a blistering 108.360.
It will indeed. We'll just wait a moment here before the qualifying to tick over to the race session, then we can pull up the grid in full and walk you through all 23 times, plus I believe 2 drivers who don't have a time but hopefully should intend to start the race. We're a 25 car field here for round 10 of the major series for going bowling at Watkins Glen. So there we are, checkered flag out in the qualifying session, and it's time to get ready for the racing action here. 26 drivers in server. I believe though we've got somebody who won't be taking to the race here in a moment, and time now to bring up the grid.
Yep, a bonus car popped in because race control accidentally signed in as a driver, but that happens every so often. But going through the grid, Dallas Pataska starts on pole with that blistering lap time alongside Inwood Baker in P number 2. Row 2, Justin Morton for Fusion Gold International alongside Dan Stevens for Middle Finger Racing. Always going to be always a good sight when you see a NASCAR themed number at the front of a NASCAR race. Thomas Hinz, the Lindsay, is hanging out in row number 3 with Garen Batten in the Fusion Gold Machine row MP number 6. Carrying along, we have Robert Northway on row number 4, alongside teammate Ben Doty in the 313, a Toyota and a Ford. Dylan Jordan and Chrissy Tito make up row number 5 right here. One Kiwi Simulation car and a Fusion Gold. Row number 6, we have Wayne Taylor for Middle Finger Racing, starting a little further back than his teammate, but he'll be alongside Sam Harper in the Fusion Gold Toyota. And we still carry on furthermore. Hayden Kirk alongside Dean Mull in row number 7. Then row number 8 is a couple of middle finger cars. Gavin Barber and Craig Tilson have this row locked out all to themselves. The 25 and the 22 will roll off that position. Wayne Hutchinson, because Dallas Pataska jumped into the circle beforehand, Wayne Hutchinson didn't get his usual number. He will start P17 alongside his teammate in the dog bear machine of Ray Partridge. Carry it on, row number 10, Brian Scripter, way back here with Fusion Silver Euro, alongside the Dog Bear Kingsman entry of Jake Fox. Bit of an alliance there between those two teams. Positions 21st and 22nd are taken up by Adam Johnson and Roger Shank. As the field starts to roll off on the field, we still have plenty of time to get through these cars. Michael Hogg, the Not a Cult Baby Metal Machine in P23 alongside Jason Lottridge, having a very, did not take a time on this field. And that leaves one vehicle left. Pay no attention to that car on P25. The last car on the grid will be Phil Otto in the 310. That is a Darrell Waltrip throwback, and it's very close to that one time that Darrell Waltrip tried to bring the 300 out, and NASCAR said, no, that you can't do that.
Fascinating insights there. Thank you very much, Lynn, for walking us through the grid here, folks, as we now wait for the end of the formation lap before we'll go bowling at the Glen. Reminder on that race format, if you didn't catch it or you're just joining us here as we're getting ready to take the green flag. 90 laps coming up here this afternoon for just over 220 miles of racing, given the circuit length here sits at 2.45 miles, or as that converts into metric numbers, that's just over 340 Ks of racing here today in these NASCAR Cup Next Gens. With a fuel range of around 33 to 35 laps to take your fuel. We're expecting 2 stops, but Lynn does have some preset incident triggers that may throw out some full course cautions. So there's that to keep in mind as well here, folks. No tyre limits, no incident point limits, and with the revised Cup layout scan, you do have the ability, as in fact the pace car almost just demonstrating it for us there as well, Lynn, a lot of room to work with on the exit of turns 1, 5, and 6, but watch out if you're side by side, because race control will be watching for any unsafe rejoins.
As they work their way around turn number 6 and 7 on the pace lap, we will eventually see this Porsche safety car peel away and turn these drivers loose. It is round number 10 in the Majors International region. 2 mountains linger after this particular race. The pace car has pulled away. Fred Jones is gone. Dallas Pataska takes off, and this race is underway. Very tidy start here on the initial get-go. Everybody staying double file for the most part around back. It's not as crazy as it would be in real life, but that probably is discretion is the better part of valor as they make their way up the S's for the first time. Everybody getting single file. For the most part, a couple of cars cycling out, sneaking out, trying to see what goes on ahead of them, but they get through there clean, and so far, so good through the bus stop.
Yeah, bus stop in a loop, however you want to call this one here. Plenty of names I've found to the corners and bits and pieces of American racing history like this, but come out of the carousel. You can see here actually this interesting... Oh, no, there's first trouble in the back of the field. Hayden Kirk and somebody else is around in the background.
And that's immediately going to be on the radio right there. We'll have to take a look if we can. There's the Kirk machine had. They had a bit of a slide, and then the vehicle behind him is Sam Harper. So immediately Kirk got on the radio and called out to race control that, hey, something has happened. I would like this to be reviewed. So we'll have to wait and see what race control does with this particular incident. But that was very unusual if you saw live on the but we'll take a look at the replay right here. Kirk obviously had the position. Harper wanted it, got a little greedy on the carousel, and around she went. And I think Harper almost wound up taking the outer loop right there. So obviously that was already lap 1. That appeared to be 4X for both of these drivers.
Gaps there for Harper. Kirk shuts it down just as Harper commits and gets there. And so end up starting to take the boot configuration instead of the cup layout. And for Harper, a slightly painful delay there as he waited to get that thing refired and pulling the way he wanted. So they're now down the back of the order. And just like that, we're already halfway or nearly all the way through lap 2 before we come back live.
I appreciate you getting a look at that replay right there. I know it's probably complicated for you having to do the cameras and try to talk with me at the same time. But as you saw, fastest lap immediately for Dallas Pataska. That particular lap was a 1:08.360. No, wait, that's his qualifying lap. His race lap is a 1:09.037. So obviously, take it a little bit easier here on the race initial race start. So. But he isn't pulling away from the Ewan Baker machine just yet. But Baker may not be so inclined to chase after Pataska here. Again, Dallas Pataska is not a season pass holder in the international region. So in terms of full points, Ewan Baker would be collecting a full 250 for being the first season pass holder to cross the finish line.
Yeah, and a reminder when it comes to identifying the season pass holders and divisions the drivers are racing in this year for the major series, you can look to both the green strip on the lower third and the timing tower for season pass holders, and gold car numbers for the pro division drivers. Is
that Harper?
This? No, not quite. One of the other Fusion drivers here, Brian Scrivener, in the Fusion Silver Euro Mustang, has parked up on the exit of turn 1.
That is a very, very bad spot to be at this particular point, because that's just getting to the point where everybody would be wanting to take advantage of the outer line. Let's take a look at this replay right here. Oh, I think he locks it up and then just drives straight into the safer barrier. So I'm wondering if he's having a hardware fault, because okay, he has managed to tow in the sim. So obviously something unusual has happened with that machine. Hasn't caused an incident yet, so obviously everybody gets to carry on.
Yeah, I think I did overhear something there about the issues for Scrivener, unfortunately. Garen Batten and Doherty really going at it. Meanwhile, 7th place, and it's going to bring Dylan Jordan into the mix. Batten wins out on this occasion for now, at least, as we get lap 5 underway. So already ticking off. It's kind of interesting to see here, like, I'm used to seeing Watkins Glen in its boot configuration, which, for the record, if I'm not mistaken, still has those restricted track limits in place. Harper and Hogg going back and forth at turn 1. And Harper, yeah, just cut his way back through the field here, I think. Just took a moment to get past the 744 machine there. As he comes up the S's now and looks to chase down Phil Otto next.
Yeah, the you're correct on the boot configuration. They still have the strict track limits for turns 1 and what we would call 6 and 7 on this configuration. But update on the Scrivener machine, it looks like his towing method was to Alt F4 the sim, because he has just dropped due to upload packet loss. And the reason I say it's an Alt F4 is if you emergency quit the sim, that's what it tends to look like. As the review of the lap 1 incident between the 371 and the 231 has been ruled a racing incident. Very interesting decision on that one, I would say.
And it's very much been commented on already by Kirk. So, actually, just as we're saying, it's a racing incident. Race control has decided that will be, can be reviewed further on post-race, as it's getting very hairy here for 7th for Garen Batten, nearly losing the rear of the car, but he'll hang on to it for now. Dylan Jordan looking to possibly press the attack if he can find a run.
Yeah, these cars are getting very squirrely. This is just lap 6 into the run right now. Tires are pretty much up to temperature, but the wear is already starting to affect all of these machines right here. These cars are very close together. 7th, 8th, and 9th. You see the battle group right there set up. Jordan is thinking about making a peek on Batten, but he's going to think better of it. And he's going to carry on through turn number 1. Look how far out they get. I don't think I've seen anybody get further to the right than right by the wall on the exit of this turn number 1.
We'll test the limits if you dare, but don't overdrive it, because it's certainly a way to risk yourself in the fence if you're not careful. But nice and steady through the inner loop for Jordan on this occasion, and looks a little more composed than Batten at this particular time now. And yeah, here we go, looking for the run now, off of the carousel. The Batten's there on that extra runoff. We'll have it covered down to the penultimate turn. Watkins Jordan's open entry up around the outside and run it wide and deep. No, he's able to pinch him down and keep within the track limits as per the lines. As Dean Moll's come into trouble of his own, down in 16th place and dropping now as a result.
Yeah, that car is heavily damaged. He has hit what appears to be the left side quite a bit. As we gather it up to take a look, maybe take a look at this in a little bit, but just go back real quick to the Jordan Batten battle. They barely made any kind of contact between turns 5 and 6, but they were able to keep it going on the wall. Jordan gets the position, and they carry on through the lap. As we looks like Dean Moll has managed to make it to pit road in the major series. What the sim would call a fast repair. You are allowed a spare car that you can elect to take, and it looks like Dean Moll has decided just to spend just enough time in the pits to get a windshield tear. Well, actually, nope. He might. What he might. Okay, I think I know what he did. What you can do is you jump into the pits and not take the fast repair. You can see how much damage you have on the car, and then if you decide that's too much, you don't want to stick around for it, you can back up out of the pit, toggle your fast repair, and then go drive back to the pits and grab you can grab that fast repair. He's also elected to take 4 sets of tires and looks maybe a little bit of fuel. That's not going to get him very far, as Race Control has re-reviewed the incident with the 231 and the 371, and Harper has received a black flag for that incident. So you see that little black box with a P in it. That indicates he is currently under penalty. He'll have to come down and serve it at some point in the next few laps, otherwise he will be disqualified. Yep,
so quite a shift in decision there to go from racing incident to drive-through, but I think that more aligns with my personal opinion on the decision as well, really. It was not a fully formed gap there, and an unnecessary risk, in a sense, to take there, you might argue. As a result, caused the incident. Both drivers did lose out, sure, but try not to do that again next time. Let's see pick up what Dean Moll's done to get himself mechanical black. Oh, the curbs. Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah, he hit the curb, and and the car didn't like it, and it shot him straight to that tire barrier, which thankfully absorbs quite a bit of the impact, but still, it was enough to knock that left front toe out quite a bit, and that has unfortunately necessitated the use of the spare car. To take a look at the Doty machine, the 313. He's lost a few positions since the start. Probably just taking it easy here on this initial run.
There was an incident as we were watching the replay of Dean Mole. We'll have to get another replay to pick up what's happened to Doherty. We'll go to that as soon as we can. Just picking up here another battle on track of Roger Shank versus Jason Lottridge. Over 18th place. So unfortunately, I didn't have a team name or anything for Roger. So apologies to Roger if there is a team name that should be associated with that entry there. Oh yeah, actually it's right there on the rear fender. We'll add Mad Sim Racing. There. So his information.
Yep, great little bunch. Great set of drivers. And at the moment, having a fairly decent run right here in the 18th position. The leading driver in the sports bronze division, as the Doty machine, I believe, has just ducked to pit road.
Yeah, okay. So, let's queue up that replay. Also, a tow to pits from Brian Scriven actually back in the server and had to tow his car back to the pits again. So, he might rejoin the race, but he will be 8 laps down, unfortunately. So it's going to be rough. Put it mildly. Doherty takes tyres, goes back out on track. So, may have used the fast repair as well.
Or at the very least, he has spent enough time to get all of the damage repair that he wants on that machine. As we take a look at what has happened. Oh, ouch! He probably has taken the fast repair. Now seeing that replay right there, that car did not like that curb, and trying to catch it, it did the little silly little thing where you do the drift, and then it suddenly decides to grip up. It's like, oh, we're going this way now. Kaboom!
Garen Batten very nearly collecting him as he tried to gather it up as well and bring it to a stop. So fortunate in a sense that we didn't have that sort of combust into a bigger incident, but good and well. So back live, Pataska and leaders on lap 12. And speaking of, here's Sam Harper. He is barely on the lead lap because there he is entering turn 1. He's out of top 2. Still racing their way here. Now towards the start of lap 13. And turn 1 themselves.
And if you're Baker, I know it's still very early on in this race, but you have to give him the tip of the cap. Dallas Pataska is definitely pro-level material if he wanted to go into the NASCAR Pro Circuit, and he's led this race from the get-go. But Ewan Baker's been able to hang tough with him, just 0.6 of a second at this particular point. Just hanging tight there. Again, doesn't need to get the lead to get the maximum number of points, so obviously just going to be taking his time, maybe save a little bit of fuel right here.
Yep. I mean, yeah, early days. If you can stay with him without overdriving the car, then indeed a win-win. For Dalton making, yeah, hopefully a bit of slipstream perhaps, given that these cars are pretty boxy. You'd think there should be some drafting advantage to being there second in the line. It's actually fascinating to see there, whilst they're permitted to use the track beyond turn 6 there, or 7, it's, I'll admit, counting corners even around this place is a little, it's officially 8 turns, so, I think actually it should have been exit of turn 6 is the exit of Carousel, 7 is the penalty turn, so, I got my numbers wrong when I was talking pre-race, doing those things.
Well, Doty's had another incident, but I think he's gathered up. You take a look right there,
right
right in front of the leaders. Very fortunate not to be back on the racing surface when that all took place. But Doty having a bit of a whale of a time trying to hang on to this race car at this point in the stage. Goes 1 lap down officially by the leaders passing him by. And then he's right in front of Michael Hogg, who is in P23, just right on him for position. So that's a battle that's going to be developing in short order, perhaps.
Yeah, officially something to keep tabs on there. Yeah, so let's just go back and see what's happened here for Doty. Takes it out. Oh, so not turn one again, hopefully. Over the curb. Okay, we're flying
No.
over the curb on exit. Up the S's, though. Oh, dear. Okay.
That's a whale of a catch right there. Perhaps he's experiencing a bit of an oversteer condition, and when he tried to go get on the throttle to start the uphill portion of the S's, that's about where the suspension compresses the most right there. And if you compress it too far, sometimes this car does weird things, especially on the back end, and that's allowed it to break loose a little bit. Fortunately enough, on that the inside of the next quarter, there was a little bit of grass, so he was able to run off into there and was able to escape with just a 1x penalty. The numbers slowly ticking up. I can't tell you how close we are, but we're making progress to it.
I wouldn't be surprised, even with the relaxed track limits. I'm just thinking, well, these spins would certainly be doing it, but I think where else would you pick it up? Maybe if you're too egregious back there at turn 6, or a trip a track limit, then you get a little too feisty. Where else? Up the S's maybe, or the inner loop chicane. Probably also easy to, if you're a little greedy through there, might come unstuck as well.
Yeah, I would imagine the bus stop would be a place to pick up X's, especially later on in the run. If you misjudge that entry, you can easily overcook it to the outside, and there's not a whole lot of pavement on the outside of that exit of the bus stop. We take a look at the battle for fourth right here. Robert Northley has the position. Justin Morton would like the position, as these have swapped positions at some point in the event. And here we are at the bus stop chicane. Obviously, if you overcook it right there, you see this grass on the exit of the bus stop right there. Definitely a spot you could pick up a lot of incidents.
Just noting here that Northway is, I think, caught and passed. Yep, caught and passed back on last lap around on lap 15. So this is actually a case of, yeah, Northway pushing forward. And can Morton hang on and go with? Or will he have to settle for sticking in the wheel tracks of the number 1 Camry here in this opening stage of the race? Lap 16. Continue the progression. Yeah, now that Northway's clear, it's 2 laps now, half a second down, if not more.
Yeah, so Morton, also a really high quality driver, perhaps has made his setup a little bit more for the long run, or perhaps as a shorter run car, perhaps in anticipating at least a caution or two. But we'll have to see as they work away the bus stop one more time. It is a bus stop, but there are no buses. I feel slightly seated. Who was that behind them? That Stevens machine. I thought he got really close to the off track right there.
Well, we did.
Unfortunately, I can't tell you whether or not he actually did, because otherwise somebody could be card counting in the field, but we'll see. Stevens, straddling that curve. Oh boy, I drove this in practice the other day just to see what it was like, and boy, that curve that Stevens drove over, I'm surprised that thing didn't go straight into a fence.
So here, 1 minute 10.9 Stevens there on that lap. So yeah, pace definitely fading away. You can see though, really, pace is almost exclusively, it seems, for now, with Tasker and Baker. 11 seconds clear at the front of the field compared to anyone else. Thomason's is close. In fact, actually, for Baker and Tasker both have just proceeded to go and lose a little bit of time. Passing Sam Harper, possibly lapping him. A little bit of a check for them there.
Yep. Blue flags are advisory only in this particular round of the championship, as is the case with most official iRacing series. However, it is courteous to hold your line and let the passing car overtake you in a safe manner, and that is what Harper has successfully done with both our first and second place drivers. And now this gap is closed up a little tighter than it has been before. It's down to just under 0.4 of a second. Perhaps Pataska caught Harper in just the wrong spot. That has allowed this gap to close up a little, ever so slightly.
Strong possibilities indeed. Thread the needle there through the inner loop chicane. Baker, they're just holding it that half car width off of the white line in the inner curb. Gets it back though in time to get the power down as you come out and onto this cup short shoot. Michael Hoggs had trouble down the order and has had to take his car back to the pits there in 24th place. So it looks like another incident you may want to have a look at if we get a moment to do so. So we've got this excellent battle here. Good rise on for the lead, in addition to other battles down the order as... Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, Sam Harper in the background.
What happened to Harper right there? Oh, he has done what the kids call the spinalla. And I don't know why the kids call it that, but he has done some spins around the course. He has kept it going, so I don't think he's hit anything, but the tires will be very upset as we take a look. First at the hog incident from before. Oh, he just cooks it into the corner and he hits straight into the tire barriers. And I think he tries to drive it back, but then he realizes, no, this is not going to work, and pulls off to the side of the road around the wall, which is actually a really good spot to be parked at, to be able to take the tow. As we take a look at the Harper incident, goes over the curb, and yeah, actually not a full spinalla, but it's randomly he is tuned into a Formula Drift event.
An update whilst we've just been on these replays for Hog and Harper. Glen, new race leader here as we come off the carousel. Oh, Pataska gets parked a bit there by traffic. Gap opens for Baker. He needs no further invitation. 3 goes to take the race lead.
That is a perfect example of the opportunity has opened and you got to get through the door before it slams shut. And it looks like Baker's going to be able to get the hat just in the nick of time. He takes the lead. But now can he break away from Pataska? Now the hunter has become the hunted and vice versa. How is Pataska's hunter's instinct around this racetrack?
I'm inclined to think they're pretty even on pace, and that was just taking advantage of the situation from Ewan Baker there to get himself a bit of a free run. Yeah, we'll be used to see that. What it looks like here, clean air on the nose, whether that changes things for these cars here or not.
It could potentially change things. The dirty air is not as pronounced on a road course for these cars, but it is noticeable. So we'll have to see if Baker's... Oh, he gets all the way out to the wall. I think he slipped up a little bit right there. That's going to allow Pataska to close in ever so slightly. But in the meantime, we'll have to see if that this clean air frees up this 34 machine at all, or has he already accounted for it and he's just naturally free all around the place. And it looks like Harper has come into the pits.
Still in there, apologies. Just yeah, that pit stop tower working for us there. And looks like, fresh air tyres, and back out he goes. A little off sequence though, and potentially at risk of nearly going 2 laps down as a result.
That is a perfectly valid strategy. In the old-timey days, i.e. when you actually ran these races cleared through the race, a viable strategy is to flip the strategy backwards. You make your first stint the shorter stint, and then you just try to go long on the remainder of the race. As we see, Lottridge is coming to the pits. I believe that is also a scheduled pit stop. Making his way into the stall. It should be about a 13 to 14 second stop right here. You have to wait on the fuel at this particular point. Yep, 14.7, and he's going to be down and away.
Okay, so 2 drivers opting to get the short stop nice and early. So fascinating to see that there. Pardon me there.
No worries. It's certainly been a day, especially of sim racing, with iRacing official Petit Le Mans taking place over several time slots earlier. Did you have to take?
I can't claim any excuses to do with racing Petit Le Mans, which would have been yesterday. Actually, there you go, front of the field, Pataska. Going to go to the pit lane here at the end of lap 23. So bites the bullet, triggers an undercut play. Now I'll be very curious to watch this here. Where's Pataska come out when it comes to traffic and stuff, and what does an lap at least undercut do for him in this situation?
Well, his lap average at this particular point, he's been consistently in the 109s throughout the race, except for a couple of laps starting about lap 20 into the 111s. So it looks to be he may have decided, well, the tires have about had it. Why not go get a fresh set? See if I can make up this time elsewhere. But he's going to fall all the way down to about 10th place right there.
Yeah, the main thing being is he come out in clean air. The answer is somewhat, but does have Wayne Taylor in front of him in number 9. So he'll be looking to get clear and get on with his race. Now sits about 36 seconds behind Ewan Baker to put the so that's what a pit stop is going to lose you here at this stage. So about half a lap.
But still a very short pit road, relatively speaking. The speed limit on pit road at this particular point is 40 miles an hour. That's about, well, if I make this calculation in my head, I'm probably going to get it wrong. It's probably going to be about 62 kilometers an hour.
You're close. That's not a bad number to go. 64 is what the metric conversion works out to be.
I knew I was getting my speed mixed up with my thermostats. As Garen Batten comes into the pits, he's yet to find his pit stall. But in the meantime, yep, 64 kph amount down the pit road. He trundles along. And as another little caveat, these cars do not come with pit road speed limiter, so you have to manage it with your right foot. There is always the possibility that one of these drivers will trip the bubblegum machine, which will trigger a speeding penalty. Oh, look at Pataska sliding that car, going through the inner loop into the carousel. That car, he's trying to drive the wheels off of this thing, trying to get as much time as he can. As we take a look at the margin between the new race leader, Ewan Baker, and the previous leader. We saw that pass happen on the track, but 36 seconds is the gap.
Watch here for the last couple of laps. This is the first flyer since the pit stop for Pataska, and bang. So, undercut very much powerful now. I would expect, in this case, Pataska to come out ahead of Baker in the 34. Question is, what's that going to cost him later in the race?
So if we expect him to go the full stint of about 30 to 35 laps, that would put him roughly in the I want to say the lap 55, lap 60 mark, and that would put him right on the very edge of doing it on one more stop. But that's cutting it awfully close, and that's also presuming that there isn't a safety car deployment. These cars are currently spread out too far. I don't see race control having to throw the yellow of themselves, but certainly a possibility if the pit cycle continues.
I mean, yeah, looking at the numbers and everything for these drivers so far in this race, should be, anyone who came in from around lap 21, 22, which Pataska was lap 23, you're going to have to do 2 long stints, but you can make it from there. So that shouldn't be too much of a concern. It's just, the matter of choosing to only run a short stint now. You're going to have to manage the car a little bit more in this middle stint, of course.
Yep, and it's going to be it's going to be management no matter which way you look at it. These cars really like to burn off the tires throughout the entire stint. It's not like a GT3 car or a prototype if you're in the sports car side, where you will see the times stay relatively consistent throughout the run. These cars will slide around, they will overheat the tires, and you will see the lap times fall off from where they are. Meanwhile, looks like Dylan Jordan's wanting to grab another position right here against Justin Morton. 0.3 of a second, but that's going to put oh, that's a lap car behind. Jordan not getting a very good run off of the turn number 1, and that's going to let Morton sneak away for a little bit.
Yeah. Sort of a bit of a misnomer moment there where it's, ignore the other Fusion car that's in shot. That car isn't actually racing here right now in a position. That car is the number 27 of Christy Tito. Currently running in 17th place. And second place is all about Silver, the Sport Silver Division drivers of those present here today.
Yep, so still overall a pretty good run for the Tito machine, as we still ride on board with the Jordan car. Down into turn number 1 for another time, and they each take about an equal bite out of the runoff area to get a run off that corner. Meanwhile, on the inner loop side, Bandoni has the 14th position and is going to be defending against the Dogware machine of Ray Partridge. This gap is kind of holding steady at about a 1.5 to 2 second margin, so Partridge probably not getting a very good run off of the inner loop right there.
Yeah, battle is no more, it seems, for now. So we'll actually get my so Partridge is a dog there. Driver's just said more very much in the colours. In fact, no, he'll hit the pit lane right as I pick him up.
Yeah, so perfect time to take a look and see how this car traverses pit road. Obviously, he's the only one down here, so he's taking his time. He can run, as long as he doesn't run through too many pit stalls, he's okay. Finds his pit stall, stops right on the sign. And if you could see his pit crew, they would be going to work on the left side of the car first, with the fuel going in on the right side. And oh, hello, there's the Morton machine also. While Ray Partridge has fallen a lap down, that's going to be a very respectable pit stop, 15.6. And Morton comes in, also working on that car. And then Partridge hits the pit exit right there. And then all around here, you just try to get up to speed right here. And then you pass this blue cone, and that tells the drivers you can get back on the racetrack.
And there we have it. It's a fairly straightforward pit entry, pit exit run here. Watkins again. Looks like Wayne Hutchinson also in the pit lane as well.
Since you mentioned Hutchinson, I'd like to point out something I mentioned briefly in intros. The first time this year for the majors, drivers are allowed to partake in multiple regions outside of wildcard events, and several drivers have attempted the what I like to call the double Ironman, which is run the full season in 2 regions. 2 drivers up until a couple of rounds ago were doing the triple Ironman. The Ray Partridge here was doing the triple, but he missed a round. He's down to a double. Wayne Hutchinson is the last driver that I say is doing the triple Ironman. He's run every round in every region so thus far this year. That is 30 total races he's done so far, and not all of them have been easy to accomplish, because most, like this round is particular. It's some races have different tracks, some rounds have different cars, so that's 3 times the work he's had to do over several races this season, and that is an admirable effort, I think, for not just Hutchinson, but also a lot of these drivers doing the double Ironman.
Yes, I did notice that for the Americas, it's the Southern 500, so off to Darlington Raceway for the drivers who wish to hang on to that one there. Is hang on to it, Ray. He does, just. But that'll give the rear tyres a superheating. I, unfortunately, am drawing a blank on where the European region have gone this week and for this round to make their sort of unique element to the event.
For a second.
Have Lynn back with us in a moment then. As I see on partially for longer at the moment, things have calmed down a little bit up and down the order. We are in the midst of the pit stop cycle, so that is mixing things up. There you go. Ewan Baker responds, end of lap 32. So on the short side of a full tank run, I would suggest. So maybe not saving much. As Lottridge just cutting the exit of the inner loop chicane there in the back of shot whilst we look here at Dean Moll. Round up Michael Hogg. Charlotte Roval, thank you very much to the guys at Pit Stop TV who are joining us here in chat this afternoon. I mean, I probably could also verify that fact by just quickly sneaking my way to that. And indeed, never mind, spot on indeed. It is the Roval 400 for the European Series competitors this week in the Major Series. And indeed, I should know indeed that, well, I got my little bit of NASCAR news fix when the news was that Shane Van Gisbergen didn't hit the pole in qualifying for the Cup Series race this week. So there was that too.
Yep. And that, ironically enough, Roval being the one round in this wildcard event that is lining up with the Real Series, which works out pretty well for drivers competing in that region. And obviously, new configuration for the Roval this year. That's already proven to be very interesting in both the trucks and Xfinity Series in real life. And our drivers will be taking advantage of that tomorrow in the European region.
Lottridge has just fired it off the road to try and stay with Mole here. Got Robert Northway lapping them as well here in the process, so they've got to sort of maybe make this a little easier. But man, that was a wild moment there. 18th place has never been a feistier battle, perhaps some may say.
Yeah, but when it's 4 points and 4 position, every position matters on the track. And of course, you want to be competing no matter where you're at. So if it's 4 position, you want to definitely go for it best you can. But Lottridge still hanging on to it at this particular stage of the game. Little bit of scuffs. No, actually, no, that's just the paint. Very interesting spec map on these fusion machines. I have just noticed. I have actually zoomed into the closeness of some of these cars. As he takes a wide arc through the carousel right there. If you notice as he comes through, as Shank comes into the pits for a regularly scheduled stop, we should be seeing a lot more pit stops at this particular point in the event. There's a lot left. Only 2 left? Okay. I've missed a lot, unfortunately. As Tilson.
1 left
for
now.
9. Yep. And I guess this is the last car we're waiting on for the pit stop. So he's moved his way up through the field slowly but surely, but now he's going to have to give up a little bit of track position here as he makes the right turn onto pit road. And then once he finishes the stop, there will be no more left until the next round of stops.
Which, don't forget, we'll start somewhere around the lap 50-ish phase. Now, is it 50? You want to get to 55, then you're sort of in a window where it's going to be more feasible. So maybe 55 to 58, perhaps, is where we look to see stops later on in this one. So now we can actually observe the benefits of pit stop. Dallas Passer being early, also perhaps part of it being the fact that he actually did get a slightly better run through the pits. 3 seconds on a gap that was half a second pre-stop. Although traffic here going to do its bit. Hasn't really held up Pataska when you look at that changing interval. It's actually barely fluctuated, despite the fact that that was probably one of the most painful spots you could be behind lapped cars.
And the other thing to keep in mind with Pataska, having started that undercut, it now is going to start hurting him ever so slightly because he's going to have older tires right now. So he's already slipped into the 110s on this particular stint. He did pop off a 109.8 a couple of laps ago, but having catching lap traffic at inopportune moments, that will slow him down ever so slightly. You see Ewan Baker taking out a huge chunk of time in the past couple of laps.
And even on this lap, after it being pretty stable in the first sector or so, second and third sector absolutely eats the Pataska, which I say that, but it's actually in sectors 1 and 2. He's gaining near half second in each. So, makes sense. The S's, in addition to traffic, is where the car's the most loaded and going to suffer the most from tyre wear. And then try and get past Hayden Kirk here into the bus stop, the inner loop, call it what you will. You will check that one off.
And with Kirk being lapped now, that leaves just 11 cars on the lead lap. And why is that important? If perhaps the caution were to come out at any particular point, there should be a free pass available. So obviously Kirk is going to want to try to hang close to Dallas Pataska if he can. Try to get that lucky dog if it were to come out. But if not, those on the lead lap will have the first opportunity to make pit stops under the caution should that arise.
Yeah, actually, that makes me want to also go and check the website again, because I feel like I saw something that said no, but it wasn't.
Okay, that might be a mistake on my part, because
at least turned off for this one.
Yeah, I'm actually now looking at the event rules. I'm not seeing it toggled because it would be in there. So, oops. Just goes to show, even those in the know can also not be in the know. It's kind of a Schrodinger's problem.
Yeah, I just confirmed it myself there. Yeah, has been removed from the equation for this race. So, if you are not on the lead lap, you're going to have to get your lap back by way of staying out under caution. That could be a little problematic, because that means you're giving up a chance to get a pit stop in should that opportunity come to pass. Closest battle on the circuit right now here is for 15th place. Meanwhile, Wayne Hutchinson and Sam Harper got Robin Northway picking his way through as well to watch out for.
Yep, Northway up in 4th. So, obviously, it's briefly separating these two cars right here. The Hutchison and Harper machines. Both drivers happen to serve on the Major Series Competition Committee. And look at that dog bear paint scheme. That is a excellent use of the space on the door for a very mighty bear as Northway overtakes, not for position, but to get around. And that allows Harper to close up a couple of Toyota machines right here. It's another thing to note, if you happen to be tuning in and you're wondering why aren't these cars performing differently? Well, in the sim, all of the machines are spec performance, so it comes down just to driver setup and how they handle the machine. You don't have to worry about different horsepowers or weight balance between the manufacturers. So Chevrolets, Fords, and Toyotas all perform equally under the same hands.
For a moment there, Hutchinson had a slightly poor line through loop chicane, and Sam Harper looked to capitalise there, he did, Glen, but wasn't able to make it work through the carousel proper and lost all the ground that he'd made up there, and has to now make it up again here on the run the last couple of turns. Good to see. Backs it up on corner entry. Definitely a little more confident on corner exit. You see he tracks out further to the wall, and as a result, starts closing in on a straight line. Threatens the nose, but he's not there to make the move here to turn 1 on this occasion.
Yeah, that move wouldn't necessarily might work on a newer driver, but Hutchinson has been around the majors for years, starting all the way back in season 1 when it was just what we used to call the clubs. This was the Northwest majors for the first season, and then meanwhile Harper has gotten the nose inside of Hutchinson for this position, outbreaks him into the inner loop right there, and move Harper up to that 15th position right there. But yes, Hutchinson has been here for a very long time, and who is that off from the track to the camera right? Oh, was that Stevens?
Sure is Dan Stevens, who we've picked up here in this group.
So it was a case of Stevens was, oh, hold on. Something else occurred. What got my attention was not the Stevens machine. It happened to be another middle finger car. The 22 had a little bit of a mishap in front of them. As we get another cycle of pit stops, Dean Ball, I think, is in for a penalty.
He has. Did he become a black flag? Actually, I want to see what that was for Dean Ball, because again, it didn't come from race control. It's come from iRacing itself.
Let's take a look at the replay.
Going to go speeding on pit entry, I think, because unless they tightened up the... Or was he serving a slowdown and failed to do so? Because that's going awfully slow.
Yeah, but where would he pick up a slowdown? Because the only way you would be able to do that is if you run... He would have to have carried that all the way through the bus stop, and he just took too long, because it would be about a 30-second grace period to which to serve it, and he probably just ran out of time to do it. Meanwhile, here's the flashy thing that caught my attention a little bit ago. Tilson tried to do a little bit of a drift, bunks the wall ever so slightly, but it's tires, so it's a little cushiony, and then you kind of see where it kind of catches your eye. So that middle finger racing car has a bit of a dent in the left front nose.
Painfully long pit stop for being able to clear the black flag and take service as well. He's back out. Now, though, 3 laps down on your race leaders, who have gotten back together. These two are unable to be separated, it seems, now that the tyre differential has come back in Baker's favour. Although, I do wonder, we're probably surely getting to the point now, Lynn, where even with the tyre advantage, 7-8 laps into this run for Baker, actually nearly 10 laps into this run for Baker, I should say, pardon me, he's probably not going to have the advantage. The advantage will be dulled now, I would think. Although the per lap gain he's making still suggests otherwise, perhaps.
I think it matters more after the final pit stop when these cars get on their last set of tires, because now Baker knows he can chase down Pataska whenever, wherever. It's just going to come down to whether the race stays green or not. So at this point, you're going to see Pataska obviously peel off earlier to take that final stop, and then it's going to be, can Baker maintain that gap as Johnson has collected a meatball? This car is not having a very good evening or afternoon. Whatever the case, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Obviously, the Johnson crew is probably going to want some extra pizzazz in their beverages after fixing this car.
Turn 1 looks like it's going to strike again here, Lynn, as we'll go to the replay. Up over the curb. And oh, it's the bumps way out wide. So not the curb per se. Unfortunately for Adam Johnson, tries to carry too much speed on the exit of the turn, and he'll pay the price for that.
Yeah, and that's a very, very hard hit to make into the inside wall off the exit of turn number 1, because obviously he was getting back onto the power right there, but unfortunately he didn't have the back end settled, and the car slides out from underneath him, and he accelerates straight into that wall, and that's a jersey barrier, which in terms of damage is probably the worst thing to hit around here. There's a couple of spots where there's safer barriers that you've seen in turn 1 and tire barriers, but that was an unprotected wall right there, and he's gone smack against it.
Inside of 0.3 of a second now for the race lead. What can Ewan Baker do with this? Nice pressure on Pataska. Maybe jump to the lead once again. I think, as you said, the biggest problem now, I guess, for Dallas, he's played the hand of going early. I mean, the one thing is that even with one stint being shorter than the other two, changing tyres is what will cost you the time at the pit stop. So there's no gain in the pits for the fact that one stint is shorter than the others, because you'd be crazy to do a full stint on tyres and fuel and then say, yeah, I'll just keep going on these tyres.
Yeah, I mean, the tire wear, obviously you're going to be changing the tires at every pit stop. The only crazy thing that you could try, which would be absolutely insane if you're Pataska, is maybe take left sides only, but asymmetric tire wear on a road course is a horrendous idea. That's the only thing I could think of. Maybe if you come into the pits and then a caution comes out after, that might be something cheeky to get a little bit of grip. But at this particular point on a full pit stop, as Baker tries to look for a spot to gain this position. Oh, Baker almost lost it right there, but he hangs on to it. Yeah, these tires, you're going to be going full 4 tires on this last stop unless you get something crazy happening.
It would be incredibly insane. I mean, this is the one road course circuit where most of the corners are right turning, but you do have turn 3, the uphill left-hander here in the S's. The middle of the bus stop chicane is a pair of left-handers. The penultimate corner is a left-hander. So that's at least, officially 4 turns where you're working the right side tyres out of the 8 turns that the circuit provides. So yeah, you would be very crazy, because in my mind, even though you're rolling it through there as 2 of the 4 turns, as it were, and it's most of our longer loaded corners are these right-handers like this carousel, you would be a special kind of crazy to only take right side tyres at the stop here to try and shorten left side tyres around this place. Because I would argue the right side tyres are only loading turn 3 and turn 7 are the biggest loaders. The rest of the circuit favours or wears the left side more. And that would actually be an asymmetric choice for a NASCAR, because you'd be doing right side tyres first usually in a NASCAR pit box. Well, it's the Glen here. It's a bit different, I guess.
It's a clockwise circuit, and the pit road is on the right side, so obviously you want to protect, in real life, you would want to protect the gas man from any issues coming down pit road. So the fuel fill is on the right, so they run this pit stop backwards.
Yeah, for some reason I was just getting in the flow there of what I do understand about NASCAR racing is Ryan Screw already jumped back to the pit lane, but damage for him. Or is that because he's been in the pits? No, he's only just towed. We'll try and pick up what's happened to him shortly, but we do have this battle for the lead to worry about, because Baker is searching. We're probably coming up to about 8 to 10 laps before Pataska pits, and looks like Baker would like to go for the race lead before that happens.
Yeah, it's Baker's race to win at this particular point. Pataska obviously is going to have to use up quite a bit of his talent to be able to hold on to this position. This is as close as they've been in a while. This is the best battle on the racetrack right now. They are right in their tire tracks, nose to tail. Baker maybe trying to scare Pataska ever so slightly, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to work on a pro-level driver. But we'll have to see. Make their way down the backstretch one more time into the bus stop, inner loop, whatever you want to call it. So far, so good. A little bit of a squirrely moment for Pataska, and Baker takes a little bit more curb. Always a risk whenever you get 4 tires on a curb. Always a possibility of a car going out of control after that.
Moves this time into the ultimate turn. And with the final, nothing beyond, at least continuing to be right there, be able to take advantage if the situation changes. Lap 48 complete. We'll begin lap 49. Coming up here, well, past the halfway mark now by a couple of laps, and coming up to 40 laps to go in the not too distant future. There's on that occasion there, Baker just a little worse over the curb at turn 1, Lynn, and going to have to now get back that 1/10 of a second that he had going into the corner.
On that last lap, they ran lap times within 3/100ths of a second. Dallas Pataska at a 1:10.081, where Baker was just an 0.56. Again, Baker launching it over that last curb in the bus stop. That allows him to close up this gap ever so slightly on the Pataska machine, but at the end, if you get too close to the car in front, that does hinder your exit. You can't get down to the gas the way you want it. So perhaps if you're Baker, you really need to be thinking about maybe laying off a little bit of the inner loop to be able to get a better run onto the carousel. And you see right there, again, same thing, last corner. Pataska is able to accelerate whenever he pleases. Baker has to wait for Pataska to decide. Oh, there we go. Here's the move. Baker to the inside. Pataska is going to let him have it, but they exit even off the corner. Baker stays on the racing surface, and that costs him physically a little bit of time. That allows Pataska to defend the position.
Okay, so now it's on, and the strategy games of, do you stay within the track limits? And if you do, can you then block that car from getting back on circuit next to you? But in that situation there, Pataska gets better drive, running it in deep and powering out around the NASCAR permitted parts of the circuit here at the Glen. So reset and try for the next attempt here, it seems, for Ewan Baker.
And that was kind of a bit of a recon run. Yes, Baker threw it in pretty deep, but he didn't overcommit. Still a long way to go in this race, and these drivers still want to hang on to their spare cars if at all possible. But both drivers know that this overtake is certainly doable if the opportunity arises. It doesn't happen this time around, but they're going to go again. They're going to go round turn number 1, back up to the S's again, and they're going to keep boxing the whole way through, I feel.
Oh yeah, we are nowhere near close to done with this battle, even though we are now on lap 51 of 90. 40 laps remained when they started this one. We're already coming towards 39 laps remaining for this event. Over the curves of the inner loop, Baker hopping the car up just a little bit more aggressively than Pataska. A little more aggressive on the exit of the carousel. Still can't find the way through though. He's not afraid to keep trying.
And also, let's call back to the previous round. The Majors Petit Le Mans, a 2-hour version of the iRacing Petit Le Mans. Call back to Ewan Baker, had a hellacious battle with another car in that particular event in the GTP category, and that ended in pretty much tears nearly, as they ended up spending both faster pairs and went all over the place on that particular battle. So Baker, obviously back in the same situation, but it's a little more relaxed. It's not 4 points. He's still collecting full points for this as they work their way around lap cars. So obviously, it's a little more relaxed for Baker. He could probably enjoy this hunt a little bit more. He's not having to dance through quite as many obstacles in this particular event.
Yeah, we're sort of tying games, starting to really add up now. Tries to get the drive off through the carousel, but actually there, Tasca seems to have got the better run initially inside penultimate corner. Nope, only you can show the nose. Can't get there on the brakes to fully threaten the spot. But he's looking around. He is hunting. Just left to wonder now, how far does Tasca take this? Coming up on 30 laps since he last stopped. In fact, he is now on his 30th lap since he last stopped, and I would presume it's in Tasca's best interest to take this as far as you can so that you minimise the tyre offset at the end of the race that you and Baker is going to have on you.
And the other thing that I just realized now, Baker's keeping the pressure up on Tasca. If Dallas was thinking about potentially saving fuel on this middle stint, nah, that went out the window a long time ago once Baker caught back up. So obviously, again, 33 to 35 laps. Potentially, Tasca may be on the shorter side of it if Baker has been pursuing. Take a look at the pit cycle for these two cars right here. Tasca last visited pit road, lap 23, compared to Ewan Baker's lap 32. So about 9-lap undercut thus far. And it's unfortunately gained Tasca basically the position for the race lead at this particular point. See Partridge get out of the way of these lead lap cars. Partridge down in 17th place. That drops him down a second lap to these leaders.
Johnson there in front of us, perhaps? Yep, it was indeed a 29 car.
Okay, but Tasca hit the ball there. That looked like he got awfully close because yes, Johnson got out of the way, but it did compromise Tasca's line ever so slightly, and that may have scraped a little bit. Obviously, Johnson having to take some time to repair that car. He's just trying to get... he's gotten at least past halfway, so he can collect full points for this particular event as Tito is coming to the pit lane from the 13th position. And Baker got a really good run off the carousel right there. Looking, hunting. Dives it inside, but no. Tasca closes the door. Not quite there. Not yet. Baker looking to the outside. Now cuts back inside. Little squirrely on the exit of the quarter. This is bringing back hallmarks of battles. Marcus Ambrose, I think back to many years ago, doing battle on this track. And especially like last year, Shane Van Gisbergen doing battle against the locals around here.
Yes, very true. These races where we have a chance, thanks to a lack of not lacking the relevant experience would be the best way I'd put it. Being able to show that specific things that, funnily enough, if you race road courses your whole life, you will pick up and be able to apply at other road courses, even if the car very much different and perhaps still, you could say, predominantly oval focused. As to the penultimate turn. Yeah, nope, that is turn 7 apparently. The last corner. Jake Fox in the background going for the slide. As there you go, race lead change. And right on the end of 55, we are on the limit of how far we think you can make it on fuel. Tasca will hit the lane for the final time, we think, today.
Yep, just a car sliding around in the background adds to the X counter ever so slightly. But Tasca makes it down pit road. If a caution were to come out at this particular point, you can get this pit stop for free. But so far, no such luck. Tasca is going to get that to the very last pit stall at the very end of pit road. The best place to be if you want to make a strategy work. Stops it in the box perfectly. Virtual crew invisibly runs around to the left side of the car. Up and down, ever so be. Back around to the other side. Get those right side tires on. Down and away. 14.7 pit stop. About as good as you're going to get in the iRacing sim. And he's got that car full of fuel. And now we take a look again at the gap between the 17 and the 34 machine.
Money, 36 seconds. The only problem here for Pataska, Dan Stevens and Dylan Jordan either side of him are racing for position. So got to clear these two in some pretty prompt order, whilst also we're having to save a fraction of fuel because this is going to be the longest stint he'll do in this race versus the 30-odd lap stints that he's done in this one so far. Looks inside turn 7, can't get there though on Dan Stevens, so we're going to have to wait a little longer. We're trying to get the pass done. Yeah, we're already angling for turn 1 and already at the right rear corner of the number 3 machine. Should be a fairly easy deal here in this first turn. And there goes Stevens, just runs it out wide, almost a token sign flag of that battle there. And Dylan Jordan will take full advantage of that one in the process.
But I think Pataska again smacked the Jersey barrier right there on the X of the S's. Don't think he got any damage on the machine, but these are relatively durable race cars, especially in the sim and in real life. But repeated smacks against the wall, that has to be affecting this race car at some point. But we'll keep an eye on this battle right here between Stevens and Jordan. Obviously, still on the lead lap, still very much in contention if something were to happen. Dean Mall comes into the pits from 24th. Having a very quiet run. Still hanging it, kind of just trying to get to the end of the race here. He is 12 laps down, but he is still driving, so that is a victory in and of itself. If you see the checkered flag through your windshield and not from pit road, as Jordan has taken full advantage of the opportunity Pataska made and is driven away to about a half a second lead over Stevens, which is growing up to 0.8. Meanwhile, battle for 9th right here. Wayne Taylor has the position. Gavin Barber behind wants it, and Hayden Kirk is lurking around if both these guys have an issue. Chevrolet versus Ford, a classic battle, no matter which continent you're from. Although some, I would argue, I would say some around y'all's neck of the woods, Dan, would wish it was a lion instead of a bow tie. But that is this battle so far right now. Barber has fallen back about a second and a quarter.
Yeah, it did at one point look like it was going to be Barber challenging Taylor, but that's kind of not really eventuated at this point. So it's more Barber having to worry about Kirk from behind, and even then that's opened up a fraction since we've pulled to this battle. Another close pairing on track. Craig Tilson racing with Wayne Hutchinson for company here. 13th place on the road. A couple of drivers that are one lap down. Actually, sorry, our last two drivers are a lap down as Tilson finds the fence at turn 1.
Yeah, he had that position taken for sure, but then he overcooks it into turn number 1, and you saw live on SimSpeed that car hitting the tire barriers, so that's going to slow him up quite a bit. I think he was relatively lucky, only a little bit of left side damage as the tire barrier absorbed quite a bit of it as Tito comes into the pits from 17th behind these guys. So Tilson going to have to at least navigate to the next pit stop to see if he can get some of this fixed as Pataska carves his way up to the field. He just gets around Northway, well, trying to get around Northway for 3rd position, had it at the line. Northway has to go wide to get away from him. And a slow car up on the S's in front of Pataska is going to be the 29 machine again. Pataska keeps catching Johnson in the S's, and it's not working out too well for Pataska ever so slightly.
Those little tents that may make all the difference indeed, Lynn. You don't want to be there if you can avoid it, But it seems that in this situation, Pataska, yeah, having to make those little compromises at this stage. Let's just check in here real quick with the lap times since Pataska hit it. And once again, yep, making big chunky gains there. So he'll come out in front once again at this stage. Question is, how long does Ewan Baker leave it before he gets on his final set of tyres to join the party? Current lap undercut is 4 laps long. Jessica, remember, it was 9 laps on the first cycle.
Yep, and you notice that half second on the lap 59, Shea comes in from 17th position. Obviously, that was being held up in the battle with Northway. It wasn't that much of a fight, but it was enough to ensure that Johnson was going to get in his way coming up the S's. If that had been gone a little quicker, perhaps, as we take a look at a replay, as Scribner has made it back out onto the track, 22 laps down. But let's take a look at the replay and see what has happened to Mr. Scribner right here. Oh, we have our first taker for the bus stop. Actually getting onto where the buses would park if there was a bus to park. And he's had the safer barrier.
And perhaps in a cruel twist, teammate Jason Lottridge is going to find the other fence on the exit at the bus stop in a loop. In fact, you get both sides of the road. Oh dear. Nasty.
Most likely, yeah. Sorry to cut you off there, Dan. But yeah, you can see in that initial impact for Lottridge knocked that left front completely off while he was still attached to the car, thanks to safety tethers. It wasn't providing any actual traction. It was just kind of bouncing around. So obviously no grip. That allowed that car to hit the inside wall, necessitating a tow to virtually get back to the pits and perhaps take the spare car.
Now, other drivers in this race, which are apparently having the quietest run of their life, namely involves Thomas Hinds. You can see here he's got about 15 seconds back to Robert Northway because Pataska won't be in this with him once he pits. As there you go. It's going to be a 7-lap undercut for Pataska as Ewan Baker pulls the trigger and will join him hitting on the end of lap 62. So there's going to be, he's crossed the line, a 28-lap final stint for the Kiwi Sim Racing driver. Let's look to see exactly what he's going to lose time-wise to the car that has led most of this race so far. As that's Baker. Watch for Pataska there in the background. A shot. Oh, actually pulls away now. It's going to be 2-3 seconds.
It's going to be closer to about 5, but you almost threw it away, completely squirreling off the pit exit right there. So I think that gap is going to result in about 3.5. Okay, so you were closer to being right than I was.
Right, yeah,
Northway makes the stop.
3.8 looks like it's going to stabilize that as we approach bus stop. So that's the number we're working with here for our 28-lap sprint to the finish.
And that's about half the cut that Pataska had on the first stop. So obviously now the challenge for Baker, if he wants to get this position, is he's gonna have to work a little bit harder. Within 28 laps, you can run that full tilt. But I would also argue that Baker getting caught up in some lap traffic, that's not gonna help his cause out any. He just got around the Matt Sim Racing car of Roger Shank. And we're going to see the first gap right here. First flying lap. 3.5 seconds thereabouts. So, going back to the original point, half that undercut from before, that means Pataska is going to be on relatively fresher tires. It's going to be all that more difficult for Baker to track down Pataska, I think. As they all chase Thomas Hinds, who is currently staying out on this pit cycle, trying to get that cheeky little caution if it ever comes out. It may not come out. I don't know.
You do not know at this stage. He did, let's see, he's on a 31-lap stint currently, so 32 laps now. So if he did come in on lap 32, this would be the lap box, and yep, that's an angle into towards the pit lane. So doing the gentlemanly thing and indicating using the actual markings on the circuit that he is going to box, despite the fact that it's not required to signal your pit stop that way. Speaking of pit stops, Dan Stevens has slipped ahead of Robert Northway on the undercut for the second stop so far, but he's now got to work with the fact that his tyres are 5 laps older than the KSR Camry behind him. So, who is going to come out on top? And Northway clearly looks to have some pace here as he closes right up on the bumper through the carousel.
And just to indicate how rapid our leading 2 cars are in this particular event, this battle for 5th position is taking place 55 seconds behind the overall race lead, as Northway has to take evasive action to avoid a collision with Stevens, as unfortunately Michael Hogg has found an incident where he needs a meatball, so he's going to have to go get that vehicle fixed at some point. Meanwhile, this battle continues on. Stevens has the position, runs a little bit wide, but Northway going to stay on the racing surface right here. They're going to be nearly side-by-side through the S's. They will be side-by-side through the S's. This is very dangerous right here. Northway wisely backs out of it.
I did not see that coming at all there. I thought Stevens was going to be able to comfortably hold that a couple of car lengths ahead there, no problems. But I take that back because is he deep through the inner loop as we come to the carousel? Pressure tyres for Northway. He's just going to swing around the outside, is he? And Stevens on the inside put enough power down to challenge spot. No. Northway nose ahead on the carousel exit. And he will take back 4th place here, I think, as should be able to sign and seal this one into turn 7. Yeah. Not a hurry.
Oh, but Northway had a slow run through that corner. That allowed Stevens to get back to his outside. They're going to drag race off of this corner again, and Stevens somehow is maintained in this position after losing it briefly through the carousel.
Okay, apparently I just need to not say when a move is done, because apparently I'm going to be very wrong in the next couple of laps here. Let's try this one again. Rejoin from Stevens means he has to leave the space for Northway up the hill. Oh, bit of a touch, I think, there as we came up over turn 3. Allows Stevens to maintain the spot and just stall the run of the number 1. They need to watch out. Dylan Jordan is joining the party. It's becoming a 3-way fight, not a 2-way fight. As they continue to give up time. Wide again through the middle of the inner loop chicane for the middle finger racing Camaro. Northway, though, not able to line up a run and has to settle in for the best drive he can off of turn number 6 here. As Jordan to his inside possibly. Not quite, no, backs off.
Yeah, Northway didn't have a very good exit off of the carousel. He stayed on the racing surface, and that, I think, compromised his velocity going into these last couple of quarters. Take a look on board the Jordan machine. 95 miles an hour around the final quarter. Going up through the gears, you only get up to 4th gear on this front stretch, which is weird, but it happens on race courses sometimes. Drops it all the way down to 2nd gear. Clips a little bit of that inside apex to get the rotation, and then they're all going to run off the racetrack to get the best run possible, and now this duo has become a trio.
They have us. Oh, Northway fights the fence up the S's. Jordan has to lift to get underneath him there. Stevens will be given the reprieve.
That's the biggest hit I've seen thus far in that particular quarter of the track. There's quite a bit of right side damage on this Northway machine. It's obviously bent the front fender. Have to imagine there's at least a little bit of suspension damage as we ride on board the helmet machine cam of Northway for Kiwi Sim Racing. It hasn't hurt his pace just yet, but he did lose the position, and now his work has essentially doubled. He was going for 1, now he needs 2 to get this position.
Yeah, not even seeing really steering down, so might have got away with that one there. As Jordan, it's his turn to press the assault on the middle finger Camaro Stevens, who again runs it wide, trying to maintain the spot. But there you go, Jordan's ahead, nose ahead this time. Up the S's, the inside line starting to work for drivers if they get close to turn 1. New driver in 4th place. Dylan Jordan makes his way through, and Northway now back on the attack on Stevens.
Yep. Jordan obviously getting a little greedier than Northway in this particular stage of the race. Stevens runs wide, and that has triggered the magic number. The magic number has been reached. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guessed 93 incidents throughout the entire race, you would have been the winner.
Okay, so let's bring up some more information here rather than... So, pit stop, last pit stop lap for these drivers. Everyone has taken their second stop. Everyone can make it to the finish from here. There is no concerns about that. The million-dollar question is, Dallas Pataska, he had about a second in hand on Ewan Baker. That is going to get evaporated. Does he come in for another set of tyres, or is he going to have to try and hold on here on a restart with the older tyres in this field? Because look at all those cars lined up behind him with mid-60s, nearly 10 laps. Better tyres.
Yeah. As the Fred Jones in the Porsche safety car has pulled out and collected the leaders. I would think if you are out here, I think you go ahead and grab a set of tires. And if you are one lap down, if you just came out of the pits, I think you roll the dice a little bit and see if you can get that wave around.
Yeah, let's see here. Only 6 cars in the lead lap now. Justin Morton is P7. He's a lap down. So I would be thinking, yes, he would be hoping that Pataska and Baker both box. That will free him up to be waved around. As there's a question about that, the answer is unfortunately no. There will not be wave arounds or lucky dog in this race.
But I think it's not the case. We were just discussing this earlier. There isn't a lucky dog, but I would imagine since it's a double file restart, it would wave around cars. It's not going to do the silly thing in the mid-aughts when lap cars lined up on the inside, where cars trying to take the wave around would end up stuck between the leader and the pace car. It ends up in a huge mess trying to figure that out. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. In the meantime, Fred is obviously missing out on the fun and decides to run off the track.
All right, pits open this time by, it's going to be, well, there'll be 20 laps to go when they cross the line here. Who takes a stop? Who stays out for the track position?
As they figure out what to do, they pass by. Oh, Baker was thinking about it. Pataska answers. That answers Morton's prayers. He has an opportunity to get back at the lead lap. He will have to sacrifice a pit stop here, but I think that is everybody on the lead lap, save for Thomas Inns stays out.
And he's not the only one. Dan Stevens is going to forego the pit stop and take track position to go to second place. But the other drivers, Dylan Jordan, Robert Northway, the only other 2 drivers who were on the lead lap have come in as well. So split strategy. And close on pit exit there. But Pataska will win the race off pit road. If only just.
And you'd have to figure that these 2 being the class of the field, they will be able to carve their way through the field. It's just going to be a matter of how much carnage is going to happen on this restart because doing my math, that was about 60 laps before the caution. I don't think we're hitting the magic number again in 20 laps.
We shouldn't, no. So, drivers released to get a lap back once we go 1 lap to green will be Justin Morton and Garen Batten. But for Hayden Kirk, Ben Doherty, Gavin Barber, Wayne Taylor, Sam Harper, But you can see Sammy's not even going to get a chance. He'll never get a chance because he's behind
Uh-oh.
Northway, who's just gone through the grass.
I mean, it does count as an incident, but it's not going to count against the magic number. So
See, Wayne Hutchinson is he's nearly a lap behind everyone else who's. So Hutchinson will get waved around to join the cars that are going to get trapped a lap down here. So that'll.
And look, and perhaps Tilson as well, because he's right behind Hutchinson.
Oh yes, Tilson too. Very good spot. Yes. So yes, keeping tabs here on the who's where and who's going to get what. They'll all get waved through. The only 2 drivers in this group are actually going to get back on the lead lap as a result of this.
So now we get a little bit of a mismatch. We have a bit of a pit strategy sandwich. We have Hins and Stevens staying out to take the lead and second respectively. Then you have Pataska, Baker, Jordan, and Northway coming in and taking stops, and then you'll have Morton and Batten taking wave arounds as they are passing the safety car now. They will get back on the lead lap. They will get to the tail end of the field, so they will have a little bit of work to do. And then you have everybody that's a lap down that's potentially going to be able to. And now a discussion of whether to delay the green one more lap to allow the wave around cars to catch up, as the pace car is exiting the S's right now. That would be a very tight timeline for these lappers to get through.
Well, delaying the caution would give them the chance to pit. And it is going to happen. Okay, so the strategy options have just been granted to them. That'll basically free up the chance to pit and still rejoin the back of the train, whereas otherwise they would have had to just go around and catch the train, irrespective.
Yep, that was a case of in-race admins requested an extra lap, so being the one closest to the button, I pushed the button. So we get a little bit of time to get this field sorted out, and now we just have to wait for these lappers to catch up. There was a little bit of a weird moment here. I know we're looking at Morton. He, coming around the final 2 corners, he kind of went a little crazy, but he caught it, and it's just a silly little moment. Kind of one of those, oops, I went too fast. I better settle down before we cause a bigger mess.
Now, interestingly, Morton and Batten did not come in and take a stop.
Yes, that is per the rules. If you're taking a wave around, you do not get to pit. The pits were closed to them, and it would be within the 2 to go. They would not be. If they pitted, they would get a stop and hold under green.
Interesting. Okay. Here I was thinking that they're getting the wave around. They had basically they get given a free shot to stop if they so chose. But never mind. They'll get their lap back, but then they'll be on the Hins and Stevens strategy of trying to make older tyres last.
Yeah. So to reset the field, Hins, Stevens, Pataska, Baker, Jordan, Northway, Morton, Batten, all on the lead lap, within 16 laps to go. So obviously a sprint to the end. Plenty of potential for more chaos, but if the chaos happens, it's in the hands of race control to decide whether to throw the caution or not. I'm getting rid of this magic button. Go away. Yep. Shoot. Get out of here. There you go. Bye. Okay. So, for old tires at the front, fresh tires in the middle of the field, and a couple of opportunities in the back for some cars to gain some positions right here.
Yeah, and maybe with old tyres here leading us to the green, somebody like Hayden Kirk perhaps. Nope, Hayden Kirk's not. They're all on old tyres too. Sam Harper, Ben Doherty have taken tyres, but they're that far enough down the group here. I don't see them being in a spot where they'll be able to take advantage, pick off spots, and pick their way forward because it's just too deep in the restart queue. So the reality is it's probably going to be a case of how long can these two hang on and how quickly do Tasker and Baker cut their way past here. Double file restart, though, is going to mean that they should have some control of the track here as we get up towards the restart zone. Set the field.
Race control reminding drivers in the majors, you are not allowed to overtake in your lane until you get past the start finish line. Unlike an official series where you can kind of jump around and do some tricks, that's to ensure the chaos is kept to a relative minimum. But that could be a very high minimum as the pace car gets set to pull off. And he's on the green again. It's restart lap 74. And Hins is able to get away as Pataska gets around Stevens for second position. They're immediately going to war on this restart. Baker gets around for third, and it's Hins all by his little lonesome. He has no friends on his pit strategy to make this work.
This is surely going to be a pretty short deal then in that case, and both of the top two drivers who have been here all race long are now lined up and ready to have started. Stevens there, loose, wiggles his way through the inner loop chicane. You can see there the margin now, nearly a second back from Baker. Stevens over a second and approaching 1.5. Try and sort this one out down towards the last couple of turns. It's all for position. It all counts. But Stevens has got nothing compared to these drivers directly behind him.
To Hins' credit, in the lead at the moment, Hins' fastest lap was a 109.328 set on lap 67 before the caution. So certainly he has the pace, but it's his first time up here at the front. The caution has equalized things out for him. Is he going to be able to maintain that pace as this battle progresses?
Oh, did he just kiss the fence there on the top of the hill? Turn 3, maybe.
Ever so slightly, but not enough to slow him down or cause damage. But Pataska is going to be all over his back bumper right here. It's Ford versus Chevrolet again. Round the carousel one more time. They're going to use up as much of the track as they can. Very tame restart, knock on wood. Everybody doing an excellent job of avoiding further incidents in that restart.
Trouble appears to have been elsewhere in the field. Coming around the last corner here.
And this is just an awesome shot. Meanwhile, Dallas Pataska dives into the 108s for the fastest lap of the race, 108.966. He is using everything he's got on this set of tires. He's got a bonus set on from the courtesy of the caution. Hins has a couple of laps on his tires, still holding firm, but he's only at a 109.104 the last lap. So obviously this is Dallas Pataska's race to win, unless these two come together. Then Baker really at least wants to try to pass Hins, because Hins is collecting maximum points.
Yeah, there's that thing to consider as well, that there's a race for on track, but there's also the championship race, and for Baker, he can remove Pataska from that equation. That still means that there's more to be gained by passing Hinsey. But on that last run up the S's, he was a little deep at turn 3, and I think it was his turn to brush the fence, and he just lost a couple of tenths. You can see right now he's holding at the half-second margin between himself and Pataska. Hasn't ranged up onto the back bumper of the 17 at this point in the race, as we start lap 77, coming up towards, well, it's 14 laps to go here when they cross the line at the start of this one. Watching here again though, measured from Hinsey. He actually pulls a couple of hundredths on Pataska up the S's. So dirty air, it would appear, up the hill is actually costly in the tune of hundredths, mind you. It's not much, but it's enough to just mean that the 52 is able to not be challenged into the inner loop chicane so far on this restart run. That, or because that was a long enough caution, it's cooled the tyres down sufficiently that they've effectively reset in a way. And Baker, he looks like he's starting to overdrive the car. The gap up to 7/10 between him and Pataska.
Yeah, though throughout the entire race, Baker has had the privilege of having fresher tires than Pataska. That has allowed him to close the gap throughout this entire event. But now they're on the same tire strategy. Baker is losing ground ever so slightly, and more importantly, he's losing ground to Hins, so he's basically having to rely on Dallas Pataska to keep this hunt up in order to make up these points.
Here we go, up the S1 and watch that gap between Hins and Pataska. Dylan Jordan through on Dan Stevens as well. Has the bottleneck, well, the cork it's been popped by one car now through up into fourth place, sorry, but 5.5 seconds lost. Trying to line something up as Hinsy's in deep. Is the gap open at the carousel? No, Pataska can't get there. Then he's up high through turn 6 here. Baker gets back into the equation. They're all starting now to really test things, and Hinsey, he's looked good so far. That's the first chink in the armor, I'd say, right there, Lynn. He just drives it in too deep, and he opens himself up to a bit of a lunge. He's lucky it doesn't come his way. Yet.
Yet. That's the key word, yet. And you saw Pataska running up the hill on the carousel, trying to get the run off of that corner to be able to attack Hins, but that allowed Baker to close the gap up ever so slightly. You could separate the top three by just 5/10 of a second, half a second, I should say. But that's the Johnson machine going off in front of him, already losing a lap on this restart.
Again there. I wasn't expecting it, but just enough dirty air. Hinsey pulls nearly 1/10 of a second up the S's on this particular occasion. That gets it back in the draft, and with confidence on corner entry here into the inner loop, you can see that not able to get as much curb was the 52. But it ends up being about neutral for now. He's off the white line. Does that hurt him? The answer apparently still is not really. The numbers on the tower suggest that he's not really losing time despite not being as tight through the corner. Colour me impressed.
Yeah, Hins has managed to turn this caution into a big opportunity. Oh, but he slides ever so slightly off that final corner, and that's going to allow Pataska to at least maintain this gap. Obviously, these cars...
Here it comes.
Pataska tried to lunge it in. No. Has to back off a little bit. That's going to open it up for Baker to try to make something cheeky happen up the S's. But meanwhile, they go up the hill. And are going to tempt fate again with this outside wall on the right. Who they hit? Nobody does. The wall stays hungry.
It's been hungry for a while then. Denied what it wants. As we're coming to 10 laps to go when we cross the line on this next time down the start finish stretch. Again, watching here is Pataska tighter through the carousel. This time though, it makes a difference. He closes in to inside a 10th and a half as we come on off that long looping right hand turn. Inside, outside for turn 7 now on the race lead, but he doesn't get enough overlap to challenge fully for the spot. It will compromise Hinsey, but it also parks up to 17, and Baker is right there, still in this one, but still waiting as well. 10 to go as we cross the line.
That wasn't necessarily a full-on attempt at an overtake by Pataska. He was just trying to get Hinsey off of his line, having him to think about something besides driving the race car. When you're in Hin's position, you can't think about anything else behind you. You have to constantly drive out the windshield. You have to be doing perfect laps. Last lap time was a 109.811 for Hins. For Pataska, it was a 7.51. They're just trading tenths back and forth. There's always an opportunity to strike when you're this close.
Yep. Again, time was gained up the S's, so Pataska unable to make gains using the time that he had through the first couple of corners. And so the gap back up to a quarter of a second as we come off the carousel on this occasion. So it really is showing that as long as Hinsey's driving and looking forward here, hit his marks, nail every entry, more importantly, don't overdrive the entries. Focus on clean, confident exits. It's working for him like a charm so far. Another lap ticked off. 9 to go here at the Glen for this 10th round of the Major Series in the international region. And it's a three-way scrap. Despite the fact that these guys are leaving nothing on the table, Lynn, they haven't come to blows yet, so they're still pulling away from Dylan Jordan in fourth.
And that's the key thing. Nobody's made the big boo-boo, the big error that is going to cost them this race. These cars are very, very easy to lock up the brakes. Even if they have bigger brakes than generations past, these cars very big, very cumbersome, very easy for a little mistake to snowball into a terrible outcome for a driver. But at this particular point, round the carousel one more time, these drivers hanging on at the very edge of their grip levels.
This battle here for P5 as Dan Stevens tries to make it work on the old tyres. He's got Robert Northway on a fresh set of boots. Well, they were fresh and they're 11 laps old. That's how long it's been in this one. Yeah, and I think we've got Gavin Barber and Sam Harper. Yes, in the background a shot, a lap down, scrapping over 11th in this one here. So they're going at it now, and Barber defensive into the last turn. Does Harper get the over-under on him? He tries, and I think he will actually get it here as we work our way onto the start-finish stretch. Nothing in it at the line. Barber will lead them to it, but I think when we get to the brakes, he's going to have to concede, surely. Yep, Harper to the inside will claim the place.
Yep, that's just a good hard scrap for that position right there. Meanwhile, still at the front, ooh, Baker catching a little too much of the inside curb. I think he caught it off track right there. Not necessarily going to affect anything. He's just trying to get all that he can out of this round. This is where you kind of get a little interesting, as Johnson has copped some sort of issue. Perhaps a speeding ticket, perhaps, well, he just came out of pit road, and the penalty just came out of that particular point, so yeah, probably too fast entering pit road. Meanwhile, back to what's on your screen right here. In front of you, heading down the front stretch, right past you, 130 plus miles an hour into the braking zone. Pataska teases the attack the next time by through turn number 1. And these guys inch ever closer to one another.
Check up.
I don't think Hin's got a very good exit off of that. That forced Pataska into his back bumper. Thankfully, all drivers able to keep going, but that is as close as it's going to get. Even still, you would think these guys were on a short track.
Yeah, that's a little something there. I wish we could go back and have a look at that one and have the time to be able to pick that one apart, then understand was that. Because I almost wonder, is there a possible strategic element to this of, well, deny the run up the S's at this point? Is there something to be had, potentially, for trying to park the car at the 52 and prevent Pataska from getting the run? Can't look into the inside in time for turn 7, so tries to force defensive driving from Hinsey, which certainly has been done. Hinsey doesn't fall for it this time in turn 8, though. He'll work on getting a clean exit, and now Baker is closer to Pataska for the first time, it feels like, in several laps. 6 to go as we cross the line here at the Glen, and this is somehow still working for Thomas Hinds, despite a tyre 6-lap difference, and a bunch of that was under caution, sure, but we thought by now this should have been a fairly easy game, but apparently not so.
Yeah, it looks like Baker would. As we take a look at the Northway machine, having appears to be a bit of a mishap, battling Stevens for this position. They keep trading this back and forth, and they're going to go side by side up the S's. That's very, very dangerous, regardless. But it's the time to get dangerous. Inside of 6 to go, they're going to take this battle drag racing all the way down to the line, well, at least to the bus stop. Stevens takes the position. Northway is going to want to take it back. But meanwhile, you hand the camera back over to the lead. It's still the same little party that we've been having. These guys still hanging on to this little dance party.
Pull away there for a second as the gap again was under 2/10. Hinsey's just got a little something for now still, although there you go. Concerted defensive positioning on the run to turn number 1. Says to Pataska, if you want the inside, you're going to have to go a long way up the inside, off the preferred line, to be able to set your move up. 5 to go, folks, here from Watkins Glen International in these NASCAR Next Gen Cup cars. And again, up the S's, Pataska and Baker both cannot find the run. So Hinsey should be safe as we come into the inner loop once more.
Baker tagged that outside wall ever so slightly. Wall gets a little bit of a nibble. He's about at the limit of his grip. Is he?
Oh.
But Hins left the door open ever so slightly. Pataska thought about it, but he decides to step out of it. Lets Hins have the preferred racing lane. But is that going to cost Hins here in this last couple of quarters?
He's looked under control through this part. Northway and Stevens still going at it. Have they finally resolved that dispute in the carousel in favour of the KSR car? I think they have. Again, there we go. Pataska with overlap as we approach turn number 1. 4 to go. He forces the middle of the road defense from the 52 machine. And then as we come to turn 1, though, super wide from the 17 machine. Can't get the run as a result. Hinsey hangs onto the lead still. Baker, now his chance perhaps for second place. Can he get there? The answer is no. They all fan out up the hill. Crash for Wayne Taylor, meanwhile. Further on down the pack in the 59 machine. Oh, blown motor, and he's found the fence hard. Lipped that one back to the pits. Unfortunately, that might just be day done for him.
If he has a spare car, he can take it. But the thing about that is he's driving it back. These guys, these drivers, Hins, Pataska, Baker, battling it out. Now there's suddenly smoke up ahead. What's going on? Who knows? These guys have been so focused on each other that they don't know what else is going on around them. And they're going to catch him right as they get to the final corner. Is it going to affect any of these drivers? No. It looks like Taylor is going to be able to sneak to pit road, and the smoke is just going to be that. There is no fire to be concerned with.
This is fantastic. Just shy of 7.5 miles left in this one. As into turn 1 once again. This time, though, the gap is around 0.3 of a second. Hinsey looks to be okay. You can see they're using all the road out of turn number 1. And as we climb once more, gap opens through turn 3. That time, though, only by 100th of a second. That's about as even as it's been in this final stint all race long. Baker, though, really struggling compared to Hinsey and Pataska. He cannot find the line, the rhythm, to be able to not lose a good chunk of time up the hill. Carousel, once again, just off the line ever slightly for the 52 car. But then he gets the drive, and again, just protects the run as he come out of turn 6. Pataska's hustling so hard, and it all ends up making minimal difference.
But I mean, at this particular point, it's all on the table inside of 5 to go. You can't rest for even a microsecond, because if you do, the cars behind will be able to attack you. In the case of Hins, he's got 2 to worry about. Pataska just has to worry about Baker. Thinks about the outside. Is he going to try to cross it over? He's got to think about it. He's going to get there. He's going to get to the bumper. And now it's side by side up the S's. Finally, Pataska has a shot to retake this lead, but that's going to allow Baker into this party. This is the closest that they've been. It's an all-out pack battle to the bus stop right here. Baker bump drafting Pataska, and then Hins just throws it in there, and then he wipes it out. Unfortunately, the gamble has gone all wrong for Hins. He's got to throw away so many points trying to get that car back going, and our trio returns to the original duo that we've been watching all race long battle for this win.
Oh, a Hail Mary sent around the outside there, and unfortunately, whilst he got it there on the entry, up and over the curbs, the car did not have what it needed underneath him to be able to make that one stick. White flag will be in the hands of Barney here as we come across the start-finish line. We've got ourselves a final lap here from the Glen, as Hinsey will drop down to P5, probably even looking at being one of the last cars on the lead lap at the end of this one here. But as I said, between Pataska and Baker to finish this one off, and to be honest, I think Pataska's looked strongest of these two drivers on this final stint of the race. The gap up to 0.4 of a second nearly as Baker throws everything at it there. Does find a bit of time in the process. As we come up towards the inner loop carousel, it's going to be one heck of a send And I think some kind of error from Pataska to really change things around on this run-through.
Think back last year, real life. Buscher in the 17 car in real life was attacking Shane Van Gisbergen from down under. It's not gonna be a inverse that finish. Pataska is gonna hold into the second to last corner. Baker trying desperately to get the overall victory. It's not gonna matter in terms of the points, but it's still nice to be able to say your name was at the very top. But that top step is going to belong to Dallas Pataska. He bowls a perfect strike at the Glen.
Unfortunately for Ewan Baker there, had to lift out through the exit of the carousel, and that scuppered the run to have one last crack at the spot. Dylan Jordan will pick up the final podium placing on the road, and Northway will come home in fourth. Dan Stevens just holds on ahead of Justin Morton. The last spot there. As the radio is starting to blow up with a bit of communication back and forth between a couple of drivers. Partridge, Yatito, I think, have come to blows perhaps here at the end of this one. And the rear bumper of Yatito's is definitely a little sad. Sorry, and Partridge, I believe he is towed back to the pits.
That incident's going to be very interesting to look at in the replays. But Dan, you'd have to say that was a very, very awesome race overall, from start to finish, especially from Pataska, Baker, and then later joined on by Hins.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we had seemingly ruled out Thomas Hins from being able to be a part of that fight, but he's made that work for as long as he did. But we're going to need to have a look at that one again. I think try and get a different angle of this one from that camera shot. So as you see it, down towards the inner loop chicane, and just, too fast. Gets over the curb, and it goes sideways. Takes a solid whack to the fence there for his troubles. And then, I can't get it in gear for a while. So he gets stuck before he can get it going, so a bit more time lost.
Yeah, I think what went wrong for Hintz there is he clipped the inside of the curb right there. As we take a look at what happened to Yatito, he gets turned by the 59 right there, gets spun sideways. That's Wayne Taylor coming back onto the track from his faster pair. But then we want to keep an eye on Yatito right here. He comes back onto the track, unsafe rejoindly. And
no.
Yeah, it's a pretty big whack by Partridge right there. That was in the last lap. That would definitely come under review. Take a look at it from Partridge's perspective. We've seen over the years a lot of big impacts. Yeah, nowhere to go on that. Poor, unfortunate mishap right there. And then what are we looking at here with Stevens?
I was looking. There was a middle finger car that came through into that incident as well, but it wasn't Stevens because of Tilson. Greg Tilson, just also another driver who's going to get the damage out of that last lap moment there. But with that, that's all the madness of the end of the race. I think we need to have a look at there. So we can go to the race results here. Finally break this one down for us. There you go. Tilson, bit of extra trouble being able to get that one home at the end of the race.
I mean, you say break it down, and then Tilson perfectly timed replay. Almost like you planned that, I would say. Credit to Dan Yeaman, doubling up commentary and producer. We take a look at the race results. Dallas Pataska gets the overall race victory ahead of Ewan Baker, just 0.3 of a second behind. But since Pataska is not for the season points, Baker gets the full 250 for the win. Dylan Jordan, 10 seconds back on the road. Obviously, I would say in the, what would you call the Formula 1.5 group, best of the rest. Still a very good showing for him. Robert Northway, 18 seconds back. So basically a 1-2-3 for Kiwi Sim Racing in terms of the points. Then Dan Stevens for Middle Finger Racing, getting 5th on the road. Justin Morton, Garen Batten for Fusion Gold. A couple of ways back on the road. And then Thomas Hins, valiant effort throughout the last restart. only to come up a bit short. P8, 46 seconds back. And then not a whole lot of cars remained on the lead lap. Ben Doty, Hayden Kurt for Kiwi Sim Racing, both finishing 9th and 10th, one lap down. And now page 2, Sam Harper recovers from his early pass-through penalty to finish 11th, ahead of Gavin Barber. And then we saw Craig Tilson having a bit of a mishap on that final lap, finishing, but still able to finish ahead of Wayne Hutchison to round out the cars one lap down. Then 2 laps down, you have Wayne Taylor, Chrissy Tito, Roger Shank, Phil Otto, Ray Partridge, finishing 4 laps down, obviously not able to complete that last lap due to too much damage, and Jason Lottridge in P20. Last but not least, it is page 3. 25 cars started this event. Jake Fox finishes 21st, 8 laps back. Adam Johnson manages to make it to the end of the race after having complaints of having not a fun time with this event. Dean Mull is the first of our DNFers. Michael Hogg and Brian Scribner doesn't quite make it to halfway, so he will collect 10 points for an appearance in this round.
And there we go. Your 25 starters and 22 finishes we're saying there, are we? This one. In fact, yes, indeed, 22 drivers took the checkered flag at the end of that one, if you count Ray Partridge towing to wrap things up there. So, with that said and done, let's have a look into the Discord server and just see if anyone has joined us for a chat. Indeed, our top 2 scrapping their way to the end there. Lynn, we'll start with our race winner in Dallas, or talk to Ewan as our runner-up first of all. I'll leave that with you to decide, hopefully.
Hey, if you thought my intros to tonight's broadcast were bad, just wait to hear my interviews. It doesn't matter. Let's just bring them both in here. We need to have a roundtable discussion, I feel, with this.
All right, fair enough then. We'll bring them both in at the same time. And we'll have this interview sort of as a group discussion, as you put it, Lynn. But Dallas, Ewan, that was a 90-lap scrap that never seemed to end between the two of you. Congratulations for the racing, both of you, today. Might start with you, Dallas, as the winner, but also jumping in here to the international region for this week and putting it on the pole to kick things off. But you had to work for it, and you opted to go for that early short stint, first of all. What was sort of the decision behind going for the short stint to start the race, if there was one in particular?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of do something different. Obviously, Ewan, how do I don't know. I don't even know how to pronounce your name, so I'm sorry if I butcher that. But as soon as it figured, go ahead. How do I pronounce it? Ewan. Yeah, okay. Thank you. I'm terrible with names. But no, I just wanted to pit early to get off cycle a little bit. I knew that between Ewan and I, we're pretty close between the practice times and qualifying and everything else. I mean, qualifying was only in my favor because I caught the right weather, I think, at least as far as I could tell. So, but I'll take it. Why not? But so yeah, it's just about getting off cycle, doing something a little bit different, and then hope to make up the time when I was on a fresh set of tires, and then obviously have the track position. For the most part, it worked out that way, but it was a lot harder than I expected it to be to actually hold on to that track position. But it's hard to pass here, so fortunately it worked out okay.
Yeah, I mean, we were watching that, obviously, of course, when you came into the pits. It looked like you also didn't get too held up with traffic, which obviously helped you out initially. But Ewan, just coming to you, I guess, at this point, going longer at the start of the race, obviously meaning you got that advantage when you came out of the pits, so that 8 to 10 laps later than Dallas did. Now would absolutely carve the gap back down to what it was pre-pit stop. But then, was it a case of just biding your time in that middle phase of the race, or is Dallas saying they're tough to pass? And it did look like it there at the end too. So was there any real sort of effort to make a pass early on until there was a couple of moments there you did take the lead right before Dallas pitted? Or was it a case of just trying to be patient today and wait for an easier opportunity?
I mean, honestly, coming in, I was going to try and be patient, fight for the championship more than just the race win. But, when you're in the middle of a battle, the blood gets up a bit and you get your head down and start pushing. So definitely at the second stint, I I was full focus, trying my best to get past. But yeah, tricky track to pass on. Dallas's pace is just mega, so it was a lot easier said than done. But no, it was a lot of fun, and with the strategy there, I went sort of plan B. I was actually going to do what Dallas ended up doing, but I thought, well, I don't know if I'm going to beat him on the road, so let's try something different and see if that works. And I was quite pleasantly surprised to see it was only about 5-6 seconds coming out the pits and able to reel that in.
And the one final question, I think, from me about this race, obviously, we then had the caution that came from Lynn and the incident points that have been accumulated over the course of the race. You've both said it was hard to pass. Were you expecting it to be as hard as it was to try and set up a run on Thomas Inns there? But now, yes, the tyres were only about 6 laps different, and we had that caution period to maybe help him out there, but were you guys thinking it was going to be a little bit easier for both of you to clear Hinsey and then go back at it again as you had pre-caution, just the two of you?
Well, I'll start with that one. I would definitely say, yeah. I mean, Thomas is no slouch at all, but with the strategy situation, I didn't think he was going to be able to do what he did. Now, he ultimately, I think, I could have been more aggressive in passing him, but I'm not a points guy. I'm not trying to get anybody turned. So I was kind of giving some graces here and there, but I thought we'd blow right by him, and we didn't. But that's really just credit to Thomas and his own driving, because he did a great job, being defensive and staying out there, holding out as long as he could.
Yeah, absolutely. He was defending like a lion. I was sitting back there sort of just waiting for Dallas to make the move and try and sneak through, and it wasn't until that 3-wide moment going into the bus stop towards the end there that opportunity opened up. And yeah, that was a bit spicy. I wasn't expecting that, but unfortunately, Hinsey spun off there. It was a shame. He definitely deserved a podium, at the very least, for the performance he put in. But yeah, just from a more selfish standpoint, very thankful I survived that one.
Yeah, some days you win some days you can lose some, and I guess, unfortunately for Hinsey, the way lap 89 played out, that was his loss and situation there. Lynn, any comments, questions you want to, for Dallas or Ewan's way, hear about the race?
Well, I'll start with Dallas right here. You are entering all 3 races this particular weekend. You just won. Obviously, you just won tonight, and you're going to be competing tomorrow in both the Euro region of the Roval and in the Southern 500 later on in Americas. I'm just kind of curious as to how your mindset is working through all 3 of these races, trying to prepare for that.
Well, thankfully, I have a really strong team backing me over at Legacy Esports and Boyd Hogan and the guys. That helps a lot outside of the majors garage work we do. So it's not a solo effort by any means. This is kind of a side project for the most part on my end, but we can take a lot of the work that we've been doing over the summer and apply it to these races. So I don't get a lot of opportunities to race a combination like this in a field like this with other people as talented as Ewan and others. So got to take every opportunity that you can to, kind of sharpen the steel, sharpen the sword, so to speak, and so forth. So hopefully we can carry this momentum into the Roval and Darlington tomorrow. I feel more confident about those cars. Who's to say the race goes the same way? I don't know. Obviously, like with the oval race in Darlington, I mean, there's so many different things that could go wrong there, even if you're, wicked fast. So, mindset is making it to the end of them. But I think if I get to that position and there's not really any damage or anything like that coming my way, I manage traffic okay, I think we'll be in contention for those races. So maybe we can get a weekend sweep, maybe not. There's a lot of talent out there yet that we got to go up against. So got to respect our competitors, but we're going to give it a shot.
Absolutely. And for you, Ewan, you're competing for the full season here in the International. We're through all of the wild cards of the 2 remaining rounds. Bathurst 500k in supercars and the Japanese Grand Prix in the Super Formula cars. How do those cars stack up in your skill set? How do you think you'll tackle those?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm doing quite a fair bit of supercars driving this month. Couple of series that I'll be racing in. That'll be streamed here on SimSpeed. So yeah, I'll definitely have plenty of practice, plenty of miles of Bathurst. So hopefully should be able to hit the ground running pretty well for the next round. Super Formula is a bit more of a wild card. I do tend to like open wheelers, but it's not a car I've driven very often, and the few test sessions I've had, it's a pretty spicy car, so that'll be definitely interesting. My hope was, coming into the last round, that I have enough of a points buffer to sort of have things wrapped up so it takes the stress away, and I don't know what the points are like now, but I think I'm getting towards that stage. Obviously with James Walker not being present tonight, which is a bit of a shame, it's given me a bit more of a buffer to work with.
Yeah, I think it's. I think he'll end up falling a couple of positions behind, and then when it's off the top of my head, I think Northway is going to jump up to second, but it's a pretty big gap. So, it'll be an interesting battle to say the least, for sure. And lastly, we'll go in order of finishing position on track. Shoutouts. Anybody y'all want to thank? We'll start with Dallas.
Yeah, honestly, got to give a shout out to Boyd Hogan and ultimately the guys over at Legacy Esports. Had him in my ear, kind of helping out with some strategy conversations and so forth. So that was very useful. Also got to thank everybody over at Majors Garage and that crew, setups coach, and you name it, we can help with it. So check that out. And then lastly, you guys here at SimSpeed for putting on the show. I'm sure it was a blast. I hope we could put on a good show for you guys.
Absolutely entertaining. Ewan, what kind of shout outs you got?
Massive thank you as always to the team at Kiwi Sim Racing. Awesome to come away with maximum points for the team's championship there, and yeah, shout out to Robin Northbury as well. Like, he puts in so much effort with setups and helping the team out. So car was fantastic to drive, especially compared to where it was at the start of the week. So credit to him and the work he puts in. I'm glad we were able to get a good result to show that. Big thank you to the sponsors of the team too, for Speed Nation, InspireNet, Scott Technology, Shearwater Studios, and yeah, big thank you to Dallas as well for turning up in this and providing an awesome race. It was so much fun, and yeah, hopefully get to do something again like that in the future.
Absolutely. I want to thank you both for joining us here in the booth for interviews. That was Dallas Pataska and Ewan Baker, our first and second place finishers in this particular event. And with that, Dan Yeaman, I think it's time to go home. Can we go home now?
Well, we've been at this one now for just shy of 3 hours since we hit the go live. But before we sign off for the evening, or at least for me anyways, the evening, I believe for you, Lynn, it would be something like very late, or is it early for you, actually, possibly?
It's 2:30 in the morning. I would like to take a nap, please.
Very late. Righto, it's only just ticked over the Sunday morning for you. That makes some more sense. But the sign off here being, of course, what's coming up next, as you did tease there with talking to Ewan about the international region. Coming to the mountain, round 11 of the major series here will be the Bathurst 500. If you thought about the mountain being a race where usually you see two drivers tackle it together, well, yeah, it sure is. But here at the major series, we don't do team racing, so get ready to see drivers have to handle 83 or 84 laps solo of this place on a Sunday afternoon, at least if you're here in Australia, Sunday afternoon. It'll be green flag at 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time on Sunday, the 26th of October. So mark it in your calendars, folks. 3 weeks from now, we go racing once again for the major series and the international region to get ready. Get to the penultimate race of the season as well. As you said, just one race to go after that. But on behalf of Lynn Kinchlow and everyone at SimSpeed TV, apologies for having to put up with me perhaps talking here today, but hopefully I've done my bit for you all. And congratulations once again to Dallas Pataska for taking the race win, and to Ewan Baker for taking the maximum points for our season pass competitors here in the international region. Hope you've enjoyed the broadcast, the racing action that everyone put out on track, and hopefully we'll see you back for round 11 in 3 weeks' time from Bathurst. Until then, hope you enjoy yourselves. Take care, everyone, wherever you are in the world, and hopefully see you back for that 11th round of the major series here in 2025. Bye for now.
Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Somebody, anybody, really should tell Adam. See you at the garage.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.